Hey everybody. So it's been a minute and I was sick. All right, let's get to it. I'm starting a little bit later in the day than I wanted to, but I'm just happy that I am over the cold that I had and well enough to come here and do the readings. So I'm sorry that it's a few days into December, but we're gonna run through it. So we're gonna do all of the zodiac signs. So remember, you can watch for your rising sign, your sun sign, or your moon sign. I would go with the rising and sun first. That's just what I recommend, but whatever you feel pulled to, use your intuition. It's a collective reading, so that these messages are going to resonate with you if it's meant to resonate with you. If you want something that's generated just for you and is specific to you, then I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting a personal one-to-one reading with me instead, because those are going to be more accurate. Okay. Sorry. So those are going to be more accurate, and let's just go ahead and get started. This will be, oh, by the way, if you are watching this later on, not on the live, the timestamps for all of the signs will be down below in the description for either YouTube or Rumble, so you can just kind of skip ahead to whichever ones you actually want to watch. I'm going to just start going down my list in order of going from Aries down. Actually, this time I'm going to start with Pisces, unless somebody steps into the room and decides that they want to say, start with another sign, but Pisces always just gets last. And I said that I was going to remember to start with them first at one point, so here we go. So I'll start with Pisces, and then from there I'll just start running down my list. And unless somebody wants to go ahead and throw into the chat. Things are going to be changing in terms of how often I am doing readings. I'm going to be doing readings more often. I'm thinking new and full moons, and then I might start doing weeklies as well. So we'll see how that goes, but just so you guys know, there are some changes on the horizon, but we'll get into that another time and not spend all of our time doing that here, because we know that I can talk a lot and I just want to get into it. So, I know I'm starting kind of late, so I have some kind of harsh lighting that I'm using as a ring light to help out. But so please excuse the lighting. And it's also overcast. It's been overcast for a couple of days here, and it will be raining also. So yeah, we're going to lose light. It's going to get a little bit dark, but don't worry. I will put up the cards so that you guys can see them. All right, so without further ado, I have my list here so that I make sure that I do not forget anybody. So we're going to start off with Pisces, and that's who we're starting off with. And if, like I said, if you guys want to ever participate in these, oh, by the way, this might, really quick aside, this might be the second to last time that I'm doing these live like this, unless I'm in a situation where I'm traveling and something happens and I really actually have to do it live. But I'm gonna be returning back to pre-recorded individual sign readings, so it won't be in this long thing with timestamps. I do like the live version, but I just feel like I need to make a switch, so you guys might have been noticing that yourselves. All right, Pisces, let's get into it. We're going to start with Pisces. What's going on for December? Note that we have Pisces. I mean, got one huge planet. We've got Jupiter in your sign, and that's something. Let's get a sense of what's happening that's today, actually. Let's get a sense of what's the overall feeling for the month. And I'm going to do a little bit of a different spread this month for everybody. So we're going to take a look at what's the overall vibe, what's the energy that's coming through. We'll take a look at beginning, even though we're starting in a few days in, beginning, middle, and end of the month. And then just kind of what any kind of obstruction or challenges that's coming up, and just whatever spiritual guidance is coming up. So we're doing a few more cards than we normally do. I'm probably going to do I am going to be doing my best, but to speed this up so that we go through it more quickly. However, we know me. So if you've been watching these with me, then you know that these end up taking about 2.5 hours-ish. To get through all the signs. So let's get into it. Pisces, we also have at the beginning of this month in December, so hopefully I will have this edited and up for you guys tomorrow, which is December 6th. I feel like this is the one. And then, sorry, I'll have this up December 6th, but we have this week at the beginning of the week. So for those of you that are not here live, you'll be able to see this when it's probably just about to happen. But we have a full moon that is happening. And this one's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be conjunct Mars, and that's pretty intense. So I'm pretty much thinking like I won't have time to do pre-recorded full moon readings, but I'm probably going to come on live for those as well. All right, so, and then I'm feeling like, yeah, I'm going to stick with this deck for my Pisces people, and I'm feeling this card here as what is feeling like a challenge, an obstruction, and I'm feeling this card here and here and here for spiritual advice. Okay. We might do some shadow cards for some signs, but I just don't know. It's going to depend on like how I'm actually feeling. I'm just like going to use my intuition on that. All right, Pisces. So here we go. And this is where I'm going to try to like really run through it as quickly as I can. Pisces, at the beginning, or for the overall feeling of the month, we've got the Moon card. So the Moon card really shows us how you are, like there are some deep kind of in the shadows emotions, like the light is being shown on some things that have been needing to be communicated for some time, right? And so there are things that are coming to light. It's like what we do in the shadows comes to light eventually. And so this doesn't necessarily mean things that you've done that are shady and skeletons in your closet, although it can, but this is really just about shedding some light in the areas where there are these dark shadows that need to be faced, things that you haven't really faced. I feel like this has a lot more to do with the beginning of the month versus like the middle of the month and maybe a little bit more of the end of the month, just given the astrology and what's happening there. So that's what we've got for you, Pisces. Hey, thanks for joining. Just so you know, we're running through all of the different zodiac signs. You can throw your sign into the chat if you feel like it. So at the beginning of the month, it's interesting because we have like, it looks like, just so that we take a look here, it looks like things kind of start to like even out and ground out towards like the very, very, very tail end of the month. But it looks like leading into this month, we have like that there are, for some of you Pisces out there, this is what's happening for you. So you've got like the conflict of desire, like there are some conflicts of what you're desiring, what other people are desiring in your world. Now you can apply this to work, career, friendships, friend circles, like relationships, all these different things. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining. I'm glad to see you here. By the way, I'm doing Zodiac sign horoscopes for the month of December with tarot for all of the signs. So you're welcome to throw in your rising, sun, or moon sign if you would like to. Right now I'm doing Pisces because I promised that I wouldn't put them last, so I'm starting with Pisces. So I just got started, just so you know where we're at. So, you know, there is like, this is kind of like sparring. It's kind of like when you're in a debate, when you're having a kind of, you're having a debate, not necessarily an argument with other people, and you're kind of crossing your staves. That's what the feeling of this is like. It's not that it's not figure outable. It is. That's a word. It's not that it's not. It's just that it's going to take some creativity, right? We've got the fires suit here. It's going to take some creativity to actually come up with what feels right for, like, what's going to be a win-win for all the people involved, right? And then here we have the middle of the month. And the middle of the month, it's like, I think you're still wrestling with whatever it is that's been carried on from the previous month in November, or what's happened at the beginning of the month. Maybe what culminated through the full moon and like this week that we're currently in, right? When this is getting posted. And we have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is very much a trapping of your own mind. You need to get out of your head. The limitations that you have, that you've set forth, those are not real. Those are all in your mind. These are the imaginations and the limiting beliefs that you've created for yourself, and no one else is responsible for this. No one else can get you out of this. It's no one else's responsibility. No one's holding you captive. This is really just about you recognizing your own personal power and making decisions for your life and walking out of this. And I know that if you have a very strong Pisces rising or Pisces moon or Pisces sun, that this is maybe not the easiest thing for you to do, is to be in this space, right? So just know that this is like the machinations of your own mind. You're not trapped, you're not a victim, no one's holding you captive, and you have the power and the ability to actually move forward in the ways that feel good to you, should you choose to question your thoughts. So I would say the best thing to do when you come around the middle of the month, Pisces, is question your beliefs. Question, like when you have something that feels like a limitation, ask yourself, is this true? Like, can I absolutely know that this is true for myself? You might recognize it from Byron Katie. If you're someone who follows Byron Katie, I need to put this on Do Not Disturb. So, you know, you want to be questioning your own thoughts and your own beliefs and asking yourself whether this is actually so. Because I think we trap ourselves through habit, through daily routine, same as habit, to believe that we're trapped in these places that it's like, well, I only have this or that choice in front of me, where really we have a multitude of possibilities that we're not really considering or looking at. So we trap ourselves in our own like box, right? As we come through to the end of the month, it looks like that you're going to find some kind of solution, some kind of grounding, something that feels more nourishing. You're being asked to step into a space where you're taking care of, maybe for some of you, this is your actual physical home and physical family, whether that's your immediate family or the one that you've created, right? So this is really just about moving into a space where you are caring more for your basic needs and for your environment. The things that are like the good food, good rest, the things that are nourishing and nurturing, right? Which is like, we tend to be really burnt out, right? At least in Northern America, right? We tend to be more burnt out around this time of the month, towards the end of the month, because of Christmas, and then it goes right into like New Year's. And so for most people, right? I know other people celebrate different types of holidays, but I'm just saying, like, overall, this is kind of the collective energy pulse, right? And so I think that you find your way with this. Now, I think this is very much connected here to the challenge that you're going through, right? So, hey, thanks for joining. You're welcome to put your sign in the chat. And if you do, then I will read your sign next. It's either your sun sign, your rising sign, or your moon sign. Feel free to put that in the chat if you want me to go to there next. So when we look at the challenge for the month, it's really interesting because we have the Ace of Cups. Normally the Ace of Cups is like this really beautiful card, like full of hope and renewal, right? Just like these really beautiful feelings, and they're very flowy and we feel so good, right? This is not what's occurring in the space right now. Right now, your challenge for the month is that there's some kind of blockage. There's something that feels like you're unable to step into the it's connected to this middle of the month thing. So the carryover from the 5 of Wands into the 8 of Swords, there's something that's connected with this where it's like you're blocking your own ability to feel into the optimism and know that there is potential in the world for you, right? So there's a ton of potential, but it's like you don't even feel it right now. It's like there's a blockage in being able to feel it. Like instead of the waters flowing like this, it's like the waters have like run dry. There's nothing there. The cup is empty as opposed to full. You need to fill your cup, Pisces. If you have a very strong, and again, this is a collective reading, so take this as it is, right? Without looking at your natal chart or knowing anything else. If you have a strong Pisces kind of energy and you know this about yourself in your chart, I'm going to say that this is a time for you to like get out into nature. Make sure that you take time to check the fuck out of the world and say, I'm checking out. The world doesn't exist for me for at least 1 hour, right? Like just making sure that you do some self-care time where you're just like, okay, the world is a lot and it's okay for me to take some time to rest, take a nap, go for a walk in nature, connect to, I mean, Pisces is connected to Neptune, right? This is all about like connecting to that oneness, that openness, right? That, like, how can we merge, right? And so it's like connecting to that ethereal kind of feeling in whichever way that works. Music, dancing, whatever it is, get out there and do that, right? Now, when we have the advice that's actually coming through, you might be surprised at some of the cards that have appeared, which is why I love doing tarot, because most of the time I have people look at these cards and go, oh my God, right? So we have the Devil card. We have the Six of Swords, and we have the Tower, right? Now, ordinarily, a lot of people would look at this and think, oh my God, that is not the card that I want to have. None of these are the cards that I want to have. In fact, these are like, two of these are the most not wanted cards for people when they're getting readings. However, there is a benefit to this. You know, the Devil card actually has to do with commitment because it's a Capricornian card. It takes time for things to mature and to work into mastery. Capricorn is all about mastery, right? And it does take time for things to like mature to the point of wisdom that we need to have to be able to move forward in whatever, like our career, relationships, whatever it is, right? Again, it's a collective reading, so you want to apply this to like whatever you came here for. So when we look at the Devil card, it's like, what is your commitment level like? You know, is it obsessive and toxic and excessive, or are you putting in the work in a way that is actually constructive and that works with your life? Are you working towards mastery, or are you working towards toxicity? Are you experiencing toxicity, or are you experiencing like the maturation process, right? And so when it comes to how is this related to the Ace of Cups as your blockage, it's just like, okay, you're experiencing an empty cup. So are you working too much? Or are you working too much on the wrong things, on the things that are toxic to your energy and they're just draining the actual fuck out of you, right? So these are the things to actually pay attention to. Now we come into the Six of Swords. Six of Swords, I see this as like, okay, you're moving on to like greener pastures. You're moving to other spaces. That's like, you need to be looking at what's on the horizon and what is like toxic and overwhelming and anxiety ridden that you can leave behind. And the reason I also say this is not just because the Six of Swords can also be a very different thing. However, we have with that the Tower card. So the Tower card is showing us that there's something that like the foundation, grounded, earthy, Capricorn, right? The foundation, and also the Queen of Pentacles, right? The foundation is not set up in such a way that is supportive for you. The structure, right? Capricorn is also about the bones. It's about the foundation. It's about the framework, the structure of something, right? And so when we're in this space, what we're seeing is like, okay, something is not working about the structure. It's like, it's draining the shit out of you, and you need to let that go and start to look at other opportunities. Like, what's on the horizon? What other things can I look at? And maybe sometimes this means that it feels like to a lot of people, I'm leaving someone behind. It's not leaving someone behind. It's choosing to move forward despite whether people can move forward at the pace that you're moving forward, which is different. I know it's like, it seems like splitting hairs, but that is a perspective shift and a paradigm shift that could really make a difference for you. This is not about leaving people behind. This is really about just saying, people are not going at the same pace that I am. I'm on a boat and they're swimming, doing doggy paddle even. They're not even swimming, they're doing doggy paddle. This doesn't work for me. I'm going to continue my path and not be slowed down by people who are dead weight. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but especially for anyone who has a really strong Pisces, but this is the advice that you're getting from your guides that are coming through, right? So, hey, how's it going? You're welcome to throw your sign, sun rising or moon sign, in the chat, and I will do that one next. So that's what we have for you, Pisces. I feel like this is a lot of really, it's very touchy. Like everything here is so sensitive, so tender, right? So but you're coming into a space towards the end of the month where if you really heed this information, this like advice that you're getting from your guides, you can end up in a place that feels like really nourishing and nurturing. I feel like this is really about bringing the energy back into yourself and being in a space where you're really holding yourself, holding your energy. Okay, so that's what I got for you, Pisces. All right, so next, I'm going to continue with going backwards because I don't see like a suggestion in the chat. So I'm going to go with, we've done Pisces. I'm going to go with Aquarius. Who knows? I might skip around. So we're going to go with Aquarius. And I feel like this is the deck that I want to use for Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. So this is actually my more celestial deck, I would say. So what's the vibe, the overall vibe for my Aquarians? What was that? Sounded like something landed on my roof. Empress. All right. I'm loving it. Loving it, Aquarius. Now, I haven't checked out the astrology for the entire month. Oh, you guys are being called out. Okay. I'm feeling this. Okay. That's what we got. So let's take a look here. All right, Aquarius. Oh, you know what I love is like when I have a new deck, I love that they just lay flat, but after some time where I've been using them, no one else can tell. But they just like bend in certain ways. I'm like, no. All right, so let's take a look here, Aquarius. Okay. 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 Wow. All right, Aquarius. This is going to apply to some Aquarians out here like really strongly, and for other Aquarians it's not going to hit. Again, this is a collective reading, so you're looking at your rising sun or moon sign. I'm feeling a story coming together. So let's take a look at what we have here. Is like the first card is the Empress, and I want to like make sure that I get that in there. The Empress, you know, Venus is doing some interesting things at the beginning of this month, right? You know, Venus is square to Jupiter, Venus moving into Capricorn in the beginning of this month. There's a lot of stuff happening. Oh, sorry, you guys. My nose. I'm still getting over this cold. I don't know if you guys can tell. Hence also the layers. I'm like, I need to be layered up. Cozy. I need to be cozy. So the Empress, like what we have here is like, the Empress is about creation and creativity. You're creating something new in your life. There's some kind of, it's not like Wheel of Fortune or World card kind of restart, although maybe for some of you it kind of feels that way. Because those cards actually came to mind. But with the Empress, there's a level of like feeling like there's something that has come through that in the background feels nourishing and nurturing for where you're moving forward in your creativity and what you're creating next in your life. Now, you might be creating a new business or a project or moving to a new place or a new relationship or whatever it is, right? So a new life. But whatever it is, the Empress is already in the midst of reaping the harvest, right? She's already enjoying the bounty that's there. So she's very like sensual and full of life, which for the time of year, depending on where you're at, if you're in Australia, then maybe it feels that way. If you're in North America and around this part, then you might be feeling like, oh no, that doesn't like, it doesn't feel like I'm reaping those kinds of benefits. But look at this metaphorically, right? So in the beginning of the month, we have you're being called into stepping into a higher version of yourself, right? With the Judgment card, whenever the Judgment card pops up, we're looking at stepping into a higher version of yourself. You know, like, what do you have to do to make it to the next level? What do you have to do to step up? What do you have to do? Like, it's telling you to step up. Either you step up or you stay in the coffins and you stay dead and old and in the past, right? Like, this is like, you're going to need to get a little bit uncomfortable with how you step forward. And, you know, if you have strong Aquarius like placements in your chart, that might not necessarily be a bad thing for you, rebel, you know. So, but then we're moving into the middle of the month here, and we have the Page of Stars. And this is really all about like you moving into a space where the solution is just at your fingertips. You're just about to reach this space where you get some of the answers and the messages and the things that you've been needing to come through so that you can move on to this next stage, right? And it almost feels like you're a little bit waiting on, like, you're like, I got the call, but I'm kind of waiting on these things, right? Also, make sure to do your research. For some of you out there, you need to make sure that you're doing your research about this, like this stuff. We get to the end of the month and there's something that feels really disappointing. I don't know what it is or why it is, but there's something that's disappointing. We've got the Three of Crystals happening here. And this is like, the crystals in this deck are the swords, right? So I'm like, the swords, because it's going right into the heart. And so when we're looking at this is like, there's something that feels like you're being forced to let go of something that you don't want to let go of, because there wouldn't be this disappointment, there wouldn't be this feeling of loss or grief in any way if it weren't something that felt important to you. So things aren't looking or feeling, specifically, I'd say they're not feeling the way that you had envisioned them to be. The thoughts and the imagination that you had about what this was going to be is not necessarily turning out the way that you wanted it to be. Now, this could be, again, this is a general reading for all signs, right? So it's just like, okay, you know, if you want a more specific read, you can book a private reading with me. The links are in my bio. But this is telling me that there's something in one part of your world that is not showing up the way that you want. Now let's take a look at like what that could be related to. And what we see is like, what is a challenge or an obstacle is it's a 10, right? Yes, a 10 of crystals. So we've got like, and by the way, we've got a lot of crystals going on here, lots of swords energy, right? So we've got the 10 of crystals. There is some kind of pattern that you've been in that needs to just die the fuck out. And it just has not, I know that I cuss, well, not as much as some, but yeah. So we've got the 10 of crystals. Like this is really just like, look, something has been done. It's been done for a long time, and it's either become a pattern or it's a part of your life in some way that needs to just be let the hell go of. It's very similar to like the Death card in that way, where it's just like, let go, or the Tower card, let the fuck go. This is done. Whatever this is, it's like, it's not working the way that it's been working. And so if you've tried everything, this is kind of like, I've tried everything and there's no solution to this. All right, let it go. So, hey Nate, thanks for joining. You're welcome to put your sun sign, rising sign, or moon sign in the chat, and I'll read that one next. Currently, we are on Aquarius. So, Aquarius, sun, rising, or moon sign. So, this is a time to let this the fuck go. Like, you need to actually let it go and let it be out. Now, what we have with that is we have your spiritual advice. And we have a lot of information coming through for your spiritual advice. A lot of wands, definitely some faded stuff that's happening here, very faded. And we have, like, I feel something interesting that has to do with your personal, with your mental well-being, right? So let's start with the King of Wands. So we have the King of Wands showing up, and this is just like, okay, this has been done. You can go create your new kingdom. And when you do, when you create this new project, this new relationship, this new life, it could be so many different things, right? whatever this is that you're creating, you need to be creating this in a way that is really in tune with your intuition, with your passion, with what makes you come alive and feel alive. I know if you have really strong Aquarian aspects in your chart, if your chart is your natal chart is very, like in astrology, it has a lot of like very strong Uranian and, you know, Aquarian tendencies, that you might feel sometimes a little bit like the alien and distant and cold and whatnot. You need to tap into your intuition, what makes you unique, what makes you the rebel, what makes you stand out. And this is what you need to be tuned into. Okay. And then we come into also the Page of Wands. So there is like, if you want to know how to do that, where to start, how to follow this, you need to be following the spark of curiosity and passion. Whatever sparks your feeling of curiosity and passion in this world, that's what you need to be moving towards. That's what you need to be doing. And we could say, yeah, that's true for everyone. But yeah, not everyone is ready to be focused on that at this time. What your guides are saying is you need to be focused on that at this time. Look at the things that light you the fuck up, that make you want to learn more and dive into your curiosity and do that. Now, we also have a very faded piece of the month that's going to be coming through. We have the Wheel of Fortune that's here and present. This is very faded, right? The Wheel of Fortune basically talks about like, there's no, when you resist the wheel is where you get into places like the Nine of Crystals, right? I don't know if you can see that. Actually, I want to get that a little bit closer so you can see that. Do you see how she's about to almost like pierce herself with this? See that? See all the crystals, and she's about to pierce herself in the heart with one of them. See that? I know there's a little bit of glare. You cannot resist change. It's going to happen. And so the more that you hold on and try to stop the wheel from moving in the way that it's supposed to move, it's going to move. It's just going to. Then the more you have an experience that it doesn't work. And we can see that even in the astrology today, right? We look at the astrology today, and where we have Mercury and Jupiter, and it's just like there is this message of us needing to really move into a space of like, let me step outside of my own beliefs and let me look at whatever you call it, the universe, goddess, whatever you call it, right? Angels, I don't care what you call it. But there is this other higher kind of like, it's out of my hands, faded type of go with the flowness that you need to step into. And like, let your beliefs just hang out. You don't have to let them go. You don't have to get rid of them, but just like let them be for the time being and like see what opens up in the space. Sorry, still getting over my cold, you guys. So, and the reason I say that is because with the Nine of Crystals, we can that has a lot of anxiety to it. However, it's showing up in a position that it's also advising you, which means like, if something creates anxiety within you, if you're experiencing anxiety, massive anxiety, which I'm familiar with, if you're experiencing massive anxiety, that is a signal, it's a message. Now, look, have I run away from the signals that have been present in my life? 100%. Absolutely. However, this is an opportunity for some really potent information and messages to come through for you if you don't run away from the anxiety and if you instead accept that things are shifting and changing in a way that you may not necessarily feel comfortable with, but if you can be with it. If you can just be, you don't have to accept it even necessarily, but if you can just be with it, this will be helpful for you going forward in the month. And I feel like that's complete. Like right when I say that, I feel like that's complete. All right, Pisces, all right, Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, that is for you. That's what we have for you. And I don't see another sign in the chat. So I'm going to keep going backwards on this chart, like on the, because I usually go top to bottom, but let's go backwards until someone's put someone out there. So let's go with Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. And I need some water. Sorry, you guys. I wanted to use still my fun cup Still wanted to use my fun cup. So I know it's not cards and cocktails, but you know, I still wanted to use it. Okay, so I'm feeling this one for Capricorns. All right, Capricorn. So Capricorn, end of this month has some interesting stuff going on for you astrologically. All right, let's start with the beginning of the month. Interesting. Some of you out there thinking about an ex or have an ex coming through. I felt that. It'll come back around. I felt it. No, they want to come out. All right, cool. Got some big decisions to make, Cappy Cap. You're gonna like the end of the month though. That's pretty nice. All right, let's take a look at what is also... Sometimes I see things on my decks. I find it really interesting. All right. Interesting. After we shuffled. Okay, and spiritual advice that's coming through. I feel like on a subconscious level, that's what's coming through. And then on a higher octave level, yep, okay. Gotta go with what you feel. All right, let's see what's going on for you, Capricorn. And I know I'm doing my best to like make it through these. All right, Capricorn. So what we have at the beginning of the month for my Capricorns is we have the Six of Cups. Six of Cups. So Six of Cups, that's why I say I'm like, for some of you, I think that you're either you got an ex on, like you're in your heart space that's coming up for you, or they're thinking of you coming around. Also, you know, I want to see how this actually plays out for the rest of the month. I'm going to reserve that thought. I'm going to bookmark that. So for some of you, I feel like that's the case. Now, when we take a look at the progression of the month, yeah, you guys might do pretty well at the beginning of this month, mainly because this full moon is about to be conjunct Mars, and that can prove for a lot of people to be kind of contentious, like a little bit, like a lot of friction, depending on which house it's landing on for their chart. It can indicate like, you know, them kind of like spouting off verbally or otherwise, emotionally. So, and which area it's happening in and whatnot. So, so let's just say that at the beginning of this month, because we have the King of Cups, I want to make sure that you guys can see that. So the King of Cups that is showing up, King of Cups is like basically like you could not run a kingdom as an emotional wreck, right? The King of Cups feels it all. Feels all of the energy, all of the emotions, all of everything that's coming up, and is still able to maintain a very like present and grounded ability to run his kingdom, right? So I think that for some, whichever Capricorns are watching this, for sun, rising, or moon, that you're able to maintain a sense of groundedness. And maybe that's because of the Saturn placements and where Saturn is in relation to that. I think we have in this week, in the beginning of this month, I think we have Saturn, you know, I don't remember. I think it's Saturn trining, sextiling the moon, something like that. It's in a helpful aspect. So maybe for some of you, that's why, you know. In the middle of the month, it looks like you're really trying to make some decisions about which direction you want to be going in, which project, which dream, which person, which something that is you're wanting to actually like you need to make a decision about. And so maybe you're feeling the pressure to do that, but we have the Seven of Cups here. And the Seven of Cups is like, as it gets darker, I feel like it's a little bit harder to see for you guys. So Seven of Cups, you see all those different cups, all those different things that are available, right? And so it's just like, which one do I choose? Which one do I want? I'm not really sure. Like I'm gonna dream and fantasize about all of these different things, right? So it's like, which one? And so then we have here, we have at the end of the month, the King of Pentacles. I feel like that one's pretty like stark, so you can see that. The contrast at least, you know. And so the King of the King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is like, we have this grounded, like I've got a handle on my finances. So I think whatever decision you're making, like you're pretty, like it seems like you're able to hold your emotions and be grounded at the beginning of the month. Like you can feel the waves happening, but you're able to like stay steady. And then in the middle of the month here, we have like, okay, I need to make a choice about which path. And then by the end of the month, you're like, yeah, I feel really solid in like what direction I'm going to go in, how this is going to manifest, that I've been paying attention to my coins and my things. It's kind of like the grasshopper and the ants, right? Like I'm watching how this all goes down. I'm able to do this in a way that feels like really responsible and grounded. And like I've got my Maslow's hierarchy of needs taken care of at the very least. Right? Now, when it comes to like, it's interesting because when it comes to like what's actually a challenge or feels like an obstruction for you during this month, what we're looking at is the Queen of Pentacles. Let's see, she's a little bit harder to see. So you can see the Queen of Pentacles, right? The Queen of Pentacles is like, she's kind of the more nurturing and nourishing aspect of the earth quality. It's like, your values, the things that you value that make you feel nourished and nurtured and whole, the things that make you feel like you're warm and at home. And so these are the things that you need to be paying attention to that are feeling like they're lacking. So you may have like been able to hold it down in terms of like the emotional world and all of the upheaval and changes and things that you see happening around you, and how quickly things move during the season and all the things. But it's like, you get to a place where you're like, I've got it, but it's like, you don't have it down when it comes to maybe your physical world and the way that it supports you. Better said, right? So the advice that you're getting here is like around patience and also around like taking the higher road and holding your ground. So I feel like for some of you, this is really about like not just holding your ground, but doing so in such a way, if you really feel like you're on the right path and you're doing the thing that feels like the most aligned for you, then are you doing this in a way where you're taking, not just holding the line with the higher ground, but you're able to do so in a way that is taking also the higher road. That's like the best that I can say in this moment. And also it's going to require some patience. Like you're putting in time and energy for the long haul, right? And that's like, for any of you who are like, you really resonate with Capricorn, sun, rising, moon, whatever it is, if you really resonate with this energy, like if you have really strong Saturnian placements in your chart, even if you're not a Capricorn, you're probably going to feel this way, right? Like this is about, like this actually works very well with a Capricorn kind of energy. I'm putting in the time, I'm putting in the work so that I can watch it grow, so that I can watch it come to fruition. Right? I've taken the time to tend to my garden and now I can see the benefit of this, but it takes time. It's like you get to survey what's actually happening in the space for you. You can survey all the work that you've done, what needs to happen next, and also like how can you continue to nourish this area of your life, right? So I hope that makes sense. The last thing I'll say about that is like, you know, you can't, it's kind of like, it reminds me, I always have this picture with this card of like the whole, somebody staring at a pot of water thinking like, if I stare at it, it'll boil faster, right? And it's like, you can stare at it all you want. It's just going to require time and patience. And I think if you're someone who is Capricornian in energy, then that's something that you can probably relate to and understand more than most. All right, so I don't see a recommendation for the next sign. So I'm just going to keep working my way backwards, and I'm going to go with Sagittarius. Ooh, and that made me kind of like I want this one deck for Sagittarians. I'm feeling it. Okay. All right. I will be right back, you guys. I'm just going to like run and grab this one deck. It's right over here. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. And this lighting I know is not the best, but you know, I didn't want to wait another day. I was sick for an entire week, and this is already coming out later than I wanted. So, all right, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, rising sign, sun sign, or moon sign. I feel like I need to move that light too. All right, one more second, you guys. Oh my God, I almost tripped over my cat. This is so dark in here. I have Christmas lights going. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see. It's a little festive. It's a little festive. All right. Sagittarius, let's get to it. All right, Sag. Whew. What do we have going on for my Sag people? Sag sun, rising, or moon. I feel like that's what we've got going on for the overall vibe of the month. As you guys know, this is my anime deck. It's hard to shuffle, but I still love it just the same. Here's what we've got going on for the beginning of the month. Interesting. Sag. Actually, I feel like it's back here. It's almost there. What happens sometimes. Middle of the month. All right, boss. End of the month. Okay. I like this. I'm liking this for my Sag people. What's happening for challenge? Okay. And your spiritual advice. Which is this here, and subconsciously here, and here. All right. Let's take a look here, Sag. So, the glare is so much. I wonder if I just like put too much light on this. We're gonna go with it for now. So we have the overall vibe for the month is the Queen of Coins. So it's my anime deck. I know they're not traditional images, but we're gonna go with it because I love it. So, all right, Sag, we have the Queen of Coins for the overall vibe of the month. I think that some of you are really looking at your coins literally. You are looking at your finances and you're like, I want to be a motherfucking queen of this. Also, looking at your physical environment, the things that you value in this world, the things that you value about your day-to-day life, and what are the things or the people that help you feel nourished, that help you feel wealthy. Not just financially wealthy. I'm talking about you feel wealthy in health, you feel wealthy in friendships and community, you feel wealthy in romantic and sexual relationships, that you feel this sense of like wealth in your life, this sense of value that's really, really coming through. So this is the overall vibe of the month. I feel like you guys are like really working on this for the month of December, which is like, December feels so short, right? Like the holidays, at least in Northern America, is just like here in the United States. It's like you blink and it's the holidays. So we're coming up on them pretty quickly. So I think that this is a focus. This is something that, you know, may not feel like the most intuitive time to be focused on this, but this is what you're focused on. Then we're taking a look at the progression of the month, and I see that you guys have just started on letting go of some shit and going on kind of like either a spiritual journey or like a self-improvement journey or personal growth journey, something that has to do with that in the middle of the month. And I'll show you these cards individually, but I'm just kind of like looking at the story overall. And in the middle of the month, it's like you're creating your shit. You're just like, what do I want to master? What is the kingdom that I'm creating? What is it that I'm really working towards creating something that will stand the test of time? And not, when I say stand the test of time, I'm also talking about what will stand the test of the fluctuations in the financial market, what will stand the test of whatever next fucking sickness is going to happen worldwide. Like, this is what I'm talking about. It's like, it's going to stand the test against whatever shows up. You're looking for something that's going to be able to navigate you through all of these different kinds, the times of uncertainty. And that's better said, like, it can navigate you through the times of uncertainty. So, and then we move into the end of the month, and there is this kind of renewal and rebirth, which I think is really kind of fucking beautiful and totally apropos, right? We have, sorry, I just had a moment where I was like, totally apropos. That's my mind. So we have like this renewal of hope, renewal of life, this kind of almost rebirth, and this sense of like better health and better, like more clarity in your world. In the things that feel the most important to you. Because again, what feels most important to you, right? What's most nourishing here. So let's get into this a little bit more. Let's start with the beginning of the month. Beginning of the month, Sagittarius, sun, rising, or moon sign. We have the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups here, right? And what we're looking at is like some shit's gotten too fucking heavy. Now this can be about what's been heavy with your relationships, friendships, projects, work connections. Like something has gotten too fucking heavy to deal with, and you're like, this is too much. I can't do this the way that I've been doing this anymore. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do this in a new way. And so this is what happens here with the beginning of the month. Now, perhaps you're already like bringing this in from, you know, the end of the month. By the way, still happy birthday to you tropical Sagittarians out there. And also maybe for you later in the month sidereal ones. So this is like you're maybe bringing some insights over that you had from, you know, November into December. This could also be because of the full moon that's happening at the beginning of the month, actually on Wednesday. So I'm doing this on Monday the 5th. And we have this on Wednesday, right? So I'm going to have this video up on YouTube and Rumble tomorrow on the 6th. So it's like, if you catch this, it's like the day before. But I think that the beginning of this month brings you a lot of insight around your sense of like, what is your journey? Like you're asking yourself these questions like, where am I going? I need to figure this out. I need to start off on another journey. And maybe you've already started this process, but you're just like, fuck this. This like that other shit was weighing me down. And this could also be habits, but whatever you feel, right? This is a cups. So this is a cup suit. So whatever you feel was weighing you down, you are just like, I'm done with that. I have a new resolve to go in this direction. And then we come into the middle of the month and we have the Emperor, right? So we have the Emperor showing up. The Emperor is about the part of the month where I'm talking about you're looking for the things that are going to stand the test of time, that are going to be able to stand up against whatever challenges, whatever uncertainty comes next in life, whether it's financial or another pandemic or like whatever it is, right? This is going to help you stand the test of time. And so you're looking for like, what can I create? How can I create it? Or you're already working on this. Now, this is also an Aries card. So for any of you who have Aries placements that are prominent, also let's keep in mind that Mars is retrograde currently. So this has a lot to do with our vitality, our identity, our sense of agency in the world. And so this can actually indicate like you having, like tapping into having this resolve to like, I have agency in my life. I can create what I want to fucking create. I'm going to fucking create this. Right now, this is also, like, we're talking about a sun sign, Sagittarius, or rising sign, or moon sign, but it's a mutable energy. So this is like fire that is really, like, unpredictable, right? The flames can go really, really high, or they can drop down to almost like the blue kind of flame in like a fire, right? Like almost ember like, but not quite, right? So it's like there is this fluctuation and this ability to like one, it can fluctuate in a way that feels uncomfortable, but it can also fluctuate in a way that really assists you in being able to be adaptable to whatever comes. And I feel like this adaptability is what's really connected to this this Emperor card that's showing up here. Okay, so then we come into the end of the month, and this is what I love that is super beautiful, is that we have this beautiful star card that is coming through, right? The star card is about this dawning of the new day. The star card so the major arcana in a tarot deck, right, is the hero's journey. It is literally the Joseph Campbell laid out the hero's journey, even though Joseph Campbell didn't invent it, but he put it together, whatever. So this is the hero's journey. And so like, as you're going along this path, like the card that comes right before this, the event that comes right before this renewal in the deck is the Tower card. It's the complete disillusionment. It's the complete destruction, but the dissolving of what no longer works in your life to come into a place that is like, okay, now that the toxic or the heavy or the non-working pieces are gone, I can now focus on how to move forward in a way that is really powerful, right? And that's what's actually coming up here with the star card. You can move forward, and this can be in your health, especially for some of you. I feel like a couple of you too is what I'm getting for whoever's watching this later. I don't feel like now, but it's like later, there's like two people that are dealing with like health, that there's some kind of renewal of health, like you're doing healthier practices, or maybe you're in a healthier regiment or routine. And I know that that's typical of the end of the month of like December into January and all the things that come up with like, you know, health and eating healthy and diets and exercise and whatever, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like there's some kind of personal regimen. Maybe you're like, you are journaling every morning and reflecting, or every evening, or like there's some kind of like healthy kind of something that you've brought in that is creating a sense of renewal and a sense of awareness and clarity. And I think that this is going to help with your purpose as you move forward. Okay. And so then we move into what is actually challenging you, what is creating maybe some kind of obstruction, or it feels like it's like in the way, like a speed bump. And it's interesting because we have the Queen of Cups, which is generally, she's usually very nourishing. The Queen of Cups is generally very like, I'm going to, like, very Cancer woman, you know, Cancer, or I don't want to say woman or man, but like Cancer receptive kind of energy. Like, I'm going to make the home feel lovely, and I'm going to make you feel like, what do you need? Like, I will make you feel so healthy and good. And like, do you need chicken soup? Or if you're vegan, do you need like a pho? Like, what do you need? And I will make it all like good and comfortable and feel lovely. So there's something lacking in this experience in your life. And I think that you're lacking maybe paying attention to, like, as you're moving forward in all these things, you need to make sure that you're taking care of those kinds of things that will be nourishing and nurturing to you. We saw that come up in a previous reading today so far, right? Which is like this, this, are you caring for yourself? Are you doing the self-care, the things that nourish and nurture you? But this is from a different suit. This is on a more emotional level than a physical level. So I feel like, are you making sure to stop and pause and get the support that you need? Are you checking in with friends or a therapist or a coach or a tarot reader or an astrologer or somebody who has the ability to help you like step into your awareness and clarity and like really reflect? Are you taking care of your emotional self by having enough time to be on your own and to slow down and not be doing something, but being with yourself and your emotions? This is an important piece for... Okay. I do not know why it does this. But it does. So, don't know why it does this. Okay, so Sagittarius, rising, sun, or moon sign. What we have showing up here, really, really beautiful, is the 9 of coins. And we'll show these. So we have the 9 of coins, and we also have the lovers. We'll get into that in a moment because a lot of people have misconception about the lovers. And then we have the 7 of wands. Okay, so for my Sagittarius out there, like the spiritual advice that's really coming through is like, hey, can you just be in a space where you are really in your personal power and valuing yourself with the 9 of coins, right? Like the challenge that we had that was showing up, just because I'm going to go back in my mind because we got cut off when I was in the middle of doing this, but we had the Queen of Cups was a part of your, what is coming up as your challenge and your obstacle for the month of December, right? And if we're looking at the Queen of Cups as a challenge, this is really about the more emotional space. And I think you have to really be looking at like your advice and what you're being told, what's coming forward is, if you're feeling like there's a lack of personal confidence or power in yourself and who you are as a person, this is the time for you to actually look at and own for yourself. Like this is that you are valuable. You are here to contribute. Whatever you're here to contribute, you have something of value to contribute. But this is not about the world recognizing you. This is not up to anybody else in this world to recognize you. This is about you recognizing this for yourself and being able to stand in your power and say, I'm good, I've got me, I've got myself, right? We are not determined by our past mistakes. We are not our past, and we are not the mistakes we've made. We are not those people. And hopefully we've learned from those experiences and chosen to move forward in our lives. But the mistake that I've made, and that I know other people that I know have actually made, sorry, I'm just gonna fix that. The mistake that I know that other people have made as well is like we tend to hold ourselves accountable, which is not necessarily bad, but like when we hold on to, I did this horrible thing, or I made this horrible mistake, or I was embarrassed by this, and we hold on to these things, we don't allow ourselves to grow into the next version of what we're meant to grow into. Okay, you fucked up. Learn from it. That doesn't determine who you are as a human being, and it's not who you are as a whole, right? So your spiritual advice is basically saying, hey, if you're feeling like there's a lack of what feels nourishing to you emotionally, you need to not look outside of yourself, Sagittarius. You need to be looking at your own ability to stand in your own power and to own your fire, to own your creativity, to own your sensuality, to own your ability to be adaptable and move through this world in a way that is really powerful. You're a mutable sign. You can move through this. Now, again, this is a collective reading, so we're not looking at your natal chart, so I don't really know. But for those of you who have really strong placements, this is going to resonate probably more so for you, right? Then we also have the lovers that's showing up, right? So we have the lovers. Now, the lovers often gets mistaken for being a romantic card. It's not necessarily a romantic card, though. The lovers is a card that is about transcendence and transformation, about the polarity of energy coming together in such a way that is so harmonious that it invites divine, you could call that the universe, or I don't know, for some people angels, or like whatever you believe in, but you could say that it is the combination of these polarities of energy coming together in a harmonious and congruent way that allow us to move forward in the path that is ours, in a way that is like totally clear and illuminated by divinity, by synchronicity, by omens, right? And so I think this is a time for you to pay attention to, are you honoring both sides of yourself? Are you honoring who you are as a person in all aspects? Not just the person who's a go-getter and like who's the one who's gonna like make things happen. And I know that right now there is a lot of frustration for all of the signs with wanting to do that because Mercury or Mars is in retrograde, right? It's like we want, like there's the frustration of wanting to like, oh, I want to move forward, but there's like this, it's either feeling like there's a blockage or things are not going as fast as we want them to go. So it's just like, okay, take a step back, honor for yourself what needs to happen for my internal space. Am I honoring myself in the more yin ways, right? If we want to kind of be more PC. I mean, I like to use masculine and feminine, but like if we want to look at the more yin aspects of our life, are you honoring flow? Are you honoring receptivity? Are you honoring the time to slow down, to be with yourself, to be with your feelings, to be with your thoughts, to be in that space? And are you also balancing that out? Because like too much flow and too much being is like there's no action, it's inertia, right? So are you also balancing that out with like moving forward and being somebody who takes the steps that are necessary, who moves forward in action, who takes steps that need to be taken, right? So this is not about rushing into things, but it's about making decisions in a way that feels more balanced and integrated because you're taking from both polarities in your forward movement, right? In your ability to decide when to pause and when to like move. I hope that makes sense for you guys. And then the last card that we have that is coming through for you guys that is a spiritual advice is the Seven of Wands. So we have the Seven of Wands, right? You know, Sagittarius, like many fire signs, if you're somebody who has a penchant for expression, you might be somebody who acquiesces to the spirited waves of energy and emotion that come through you, and that's beautiful sometimes. And sometimes you need to just pause and hold the ground. And not only hold the ground, when we're looking at the Seven of Wands, we're talking about holding the higher ground. So that means that we're looking at, okay, like, let me take the higher road. Let me be the bigger person. Let me like observe the, like you're like the thing about the Seven of Wands is that she actually has the higher ground. She has the vantage point, right? She's up higher and she's able to look down and see like there are sticks and like staves that are coming at her from below, but she has the vantage point. She's able to look at the entire area and survey and see the bigger picture. So this is about you stepping into the bigger picture and really just looking at like, okay, how do I integrate all aspects of myself? How am I able to pay attention to how I step into my ability, like my self-worth and my ability to take care of myself and to hold myself in the way that I'm choosing to move forward on this path? You're leaving behind some heavy shit. You're going into creating some really powerful things and you're coming to a place of renewal. These are all really powerful. The one weak point is your emotional well-being and making sure that you're not neglecting that you're not just in a doing phase, but you're also honoring the ability and the need for you to slow down and be in your space, be in your feelings. Remember that the overall is the Queen of Coins, which is very much aligned with this. So I think that you guys like have some really beautiful cards, deep cards, really, really good personal work cards. Like I'm loving this for a Sagittarius. So, oh, what is this? Aries, yes! Okay, I'll do Aries next. It's perfect timing because I just finished with Sagittarius. So, let's get into Aries next. All right, so we're done with Sag and we are going into Aries. All right, Aries. So this is for Aries, rising sign, sun sign, moon sign. So for those of you who are just joining, this is usually my fun cup, but I have water in it only. I'm recovering from a cold, but I still wanted to have a fun cup while I was here. Water is life. Oh my gosh. All right, Aries. Here we go. All right, Aries. We might be using a card from my new deck. Let's just see. Okay. We're probably going to use a card from that deck. All right, so it's my new deck. It's my birthday deck. Aries. Aries, sun, rising or moon sign. What do we have going on for December? That doesn't feel like the only one. There we go. It's beautiful. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get into all of this. And then let's take a look at the beginning. Although we're already a few days into the beginning. Again, I apologize, you guys. I've been sick. Middle, end of the month. Okay. So much regal energy coming through here. Like there's a lot of stepping up into like this maturation kind of energy. So we'll get into that. One more, I want to do it from this deck. We're going to take a look at also your challenge. Like what feels like an obstacle or a challenge in your experience. Jesus. Kings, queens, kings, queens. Okay. All right. And then I am going to use my new deck. Let's see. You know what's funny is that it's called A Heavenly Bloom. It's my newest deck that I got for my birthday, and it has a rose on it. And when I first opened the box, I was deep in being sick for half of the week last week, and it smells like roses, which is really nice. So let's get some spiritual advice. Okay. All right. Oh shit. Okay, there's some like I normally start up here. Aries sun, rising or moon sign. You guys have some shit to let go of. I don't know what this is, who this is, what project this is. This is a collective reading. For those of you out here who need to hear it, there is some shit that you need to let go of. Like obsessive, almost toxic, just gotta let it go. It's weighing you down. The regrets, it's not letting you be true to yourself. It's not letting you bring things together in a way that's good for you in your life. Okay, let's start by what's the overall feeling for the month. All right, Aries. So the overall feeling for the month that we have is we have the Justice card and we have the King of Pentacles. So let's have you guys take a look at that. So the Justice card and the King of Pentacles. So this is a collective reading, so I'm going to say that you need to apply this to whatever area of your life it feels the most apropos is what I was going to say, but I know that no, it's appropriate. Whatever feels the most appropriate, and whether that's love or projects, coworkers, career path, family, friendships, whatever it is, there is this element of you needing to stay true to yourself and to be really honest with yourself and others about what it is that you actually think and feel, and that there's some out of balance, out of harmony with that that's occurring in this month, that there's like this wanting to return to some sense of equilibrium. And then there's also this other aspect of like, either physically with your coins, with your finances, having a hold on things that actually allows you to be like, I'm in a safe place, I've got things handled, or that there is this like overall energy for the month of December of, I'm trying to move towards like solidifying or creating a space that feels like I've got my shit down. I've got my kingdom down. Like the basics of the foundation of my kingdom, I've got this all down. I've got my Maslow's hierarchy of needs taken care of. I've got certain things that are basically taken care of, right? So these are the things that you need to actually be looking at and paying attention to for the overall like of the month. And this will probably make more sense as we get into the rest of the cards that are showing up here. So when we look at the beginning of the month, we have like, there is this transformative aspect of needing to step into your strength, needing to step into your courage and your authentic expression. And then when we come into the middle of the month, there is this like integration with that and your intuition. And acting from a place of intuition, I feel like there's also some restlessness of like the thing with, and we'll get into this, the King of Wands, is that he's the one of the kings, the only one of the kings that's like ready to get like, oh, I'm done creating the kingdom now, you guys. Like, can I get up and go now? Can I get up? I'm going to go on my next adventure now. I'm going to go create something new, right? So there is this kind of energy that shows up that way. With whatever it is that you're trying to create, towards the end of the month, and I'm not surprised by this, but towards the end of the month, there's this feeling of like, it doesn't look and feel the way that I want it to. The opportunities that are present, the things that are present, the people that are present, it's like, it's not showing up the way that I wanted it to look or feel, and almost not even seeing all of the different possibilities and opportunities that are available to you and how detrimental that actually is. It's interesting because we have the King of Wands that is in the middle of the month, and we have the King of Wands showing up as your challenge for the month of December. We have that showing up as also the shadow aspect of the King of Wands. So that's also why I was bringing up both, right? So we have the King of Wands and the shadow aspect in this challenge position as being like, I'm too impulsive. I am overly confident. I need to move on to the next project. I need to go to the next thing. It's like I can't sit still. I can't rule this kingdom anymore. Someone else rule it for me. I need to go be impulsive and go do these other things. Also being like very kind of maybe agitated, too fiery, someone who is not able to contain their fire, and being kind of messy with their fire. We'll come back to that. So let's start with the beginning of the month, and then we'll work our way through with this, okay? So beginning of the month, we have the Strength card that is showing up. Now, the Strength card is someone who's like, she's making pals with her inner beasts. She is transmuting, transforming, and like facing her fears, facing the limiting beliefs, facing anything that comes in the way, that like things that people consider fearsome and that they don't want to face in general. She is someone who is in the space of like, yes, okay, I am going to face this. I'm going to make friends with the beasts inside of myself. And that's what she does. That's why she has strength. That's why she has courage. That's why she is strength, right? And so in the beginning of the month, there's something that's, I think, being tested for you, or that maybe you have this resolve of something that you're coming into this space of feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna handle this. I'm gonna face this head on, and I'm going to transform it, right? In the middle of the month, and again, this is connected, I feel like whatever challenge you're going to have is connected to the middle of the month period. So before if you're someone who celebrates like Christmas and whatever, it's like, this is before the holiday, right before it. We're coming up on it quick because I'm posting this tomorrow and it's already going to be the 6th tomorrow. at least in America. So you're going through this experience of like, okay, I create the things that make me feel inspired. I create things that that feel intuitive. I rule my world by these creative and fiery and curiosity stoking kinds of experiences, but I don't let them overrule me at the same time. Right? So whatever strength that you've had has kind of like moved into this place in the middle of the month where I think you're examining what this is. However, I think that there is maybe some hubris involved for some of you. Maybe some arrogance, maybe a little overconfidence. And I think you need to like check it, because at the end of the month, what we have here is the Four of Cups. It's the four, right? Yes, it is the four. That's what I thought. So we have the Four of Cups, right? Four of Cups here is all about this, like, do you see the hand that is kind of like, you see this here? I know it's a little bit hard to see with this particular deck, but do you see like there is a hand coming out of a cloud, out of the ethers, out of nowhere, and offering up this cup, right? So there's something that is like your guides, your universe, whatever, whoever you believe in, goddess, God, whatever, right? Is trying to offer you something and say, hey, I've got a solution for you. I've got something that I think would feel good for you. I've got a possibility or opportunity that I think would feel good for you. And you're like too busy looking down at like, but this is the way I wanted it to feel. This is the way I imagined it. And it's not showing up that way. And so, no, I don't want to, or I don't see it even. Like I don't even recognize it because I'm too focused on these things. So you need to like widen your lens, widen your perspective. It's like you need to go from like a focused shot to like a wide shot. And this is like not going to work unless you do. Also, there is this like idea of feeling like some sense of complacency, some sense of boredom almost. So for some of you, it might feel like you get towards the end of the month and you're like, ugh, I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not feeling like, it doesn't feel and look the way that I want it to because I'm bored by this. I want something different. I want it to be different. I need it to be different, right? And there's this kind of frustration with this, which is what we see showing up here in your challenge, right? Your challenge is like, there is this either like hubris or arrogance or like this desire to act impulsively in a way that would tear down the kingdom, right? Like somebody who acts too impulsively, like a king who would act too impulsively, wouldn't be able to hold the kingdom together because they're always acting on like spontaneity and like what they feel impulsively and not any kind of fact. And so there's like a grounding that needs to happen in the space. So we look at like what is coming up for your spiritual advice, and we have 5 cards that show up for your spiritual advice. And a lot of it has to do with letting go. And I think some of this is letting go of not only control, but letting go of like re-examining, taking a step back and actually looking at what serves you and what doesn't actually serve you at this point. What you thought was a part of the vision may not actually be a part of the vision anymore. So we start with the 5 of Cups, which is right after the 4 of Cups, obviously. But we have the 4 of Cups here. And then we have the 5 of Cups showing up. So we have the 5 of Cups, right? And this is really like, this is the card that I call crying over spilled milk, right? So this is where you're just like I made these mistakes and I regret this, and if I hadn't done that, if I had just done this, and I could have done this instead, and it would have been better, even if it's okay now. Like, it's just, I'm not focused on the 2 cups that are upright, right? I'm looking down and I'm focused on the 3 cups that are actually not serving what my purpose is and what I want it to be. And then we go into the Death card, right? And this is really just about like, I mean, look at the flowers that come forth from the ground, right? Like we bury whatever, pets, people, whoever in the ground. And they're, at least at one point in our history, they were meant to feed the next cycle of life. They turned into soil and mulch and nutrients for the rest of the earth, right? And that's what death is. It's this transmutation process where we move from what is done and we allow it to be dead. And the lessons, the things that are actually nutrients that come from that, the things that are useful that come from that, they help us move into this next level, right? And there's also this restructuring that is happening because we have the Tower showing up. What's interesting about this particular deck is that the Tower isn't showing up hitting the crown, which normally it hits the crown. It's actually hitting the heart chakra, which I think is pretty interesting. So I feel like specifically for this particular reading, like this is really about waking up. It's almost like a defibrillator, right? It's like, right, clear, right? So this is like, all right, when it comes to the structure of what works and what doesn't work in your life, like not only letting go of whatever it is that doesn't work, but also at the same time being in a place where you allow for your heart to be like restarted, to be renewed, to allow a rebirth to happen, a new life, a new possibility. Like think about the people who like their hearts flatline and then a defibrillator brings them back to life, right? And when they're brought back, they have a second chance at life. Oh my God. And that's what happens is like in the face of death, the previous card, in the face of death, in the face of like all of this unknown and getting rid of what no longer serves, you have this new breath of life, this new ability to live from your heart forward. And I feel like this is very much like, especially with this, you know, feeling of the Justice card coming through, is like, what is true? Like, what are you staying true to for yourself? What feels right for you, not for anyone else? This is not about the and it's not to be a self-serving and centered, like self-centered card. This is just like, sometimes we need to really have that focus on ourselves. And so like, this is about you really focusing on this for yourself, right? And the last two cards we have are the Devil and Temperance, which I kind of want to put together. So we're gonna put this together. Hey, Joshua. So we have these two cards together, right? We have the Devil and the Temperance card. And I feel like the Devil card is really just like in a position of like, if it were in a toxic position, like in a challenge position, I'd say something different. But in a place where it's showing up here, this is the Capricorn card, right? This is the card of mastery. This is the card of maturation. This is the card of commitment. This is the card of putting yourself into the grind and actually working it, right? So in any other position except for a positive position, I would read it differently if it were not in a positive position. But this is in a positive position. I feel like this is telling you like, hey, like you might want to reintegrate yourself into the world of like the linear a little bit more. And this is the time to actually do some focused attention on whatever it is, your projects or whatever it is. Get realistic. Look at the long-term view. Look at how this is going to mature over a period of time, you know? And if you don't have an idea of how it's going to mature over a period of time, then maybe you want to look at this friendship, this project, this relationship, whatever it is, in a way where you consider, what if I gave this some time? And also looking at it very logically with your wisdom, right? Because the Capricorn, like Jupiter, like Sagittarius, has a sense of wisdom about it because of its experience and its maturation, right? What are the boundaries that I need to be putting in place here? What am I actually committed to here that makes sense? You know, and with whatever project or person or whoever is involved in this, you know, do I have enough evidence to know that I should be going in a certain direction or not, right? Like, so not basing this so much on, it's a little bit cold, kind of like, not to say the Capricorns and Aquarians are cold, but there's like this cold quality that can come through. It's like detached, it's removed. And so like detaching and removing yourself enough to know like, hey, does this really make sense? When I look at the big picture overall, on all levels, does this make sense? right? So, and then the last card that we have coming through is the Temperance card. So, hey buddy, how's it going? It's good to see you. I'm finishing up Aries right now. So we have like right here is we have the Temperance card, right? Beautiful card. Temperance card is such an amazing card for, especially for personal work, right? The Temperance card is about being in a space of balancing and bringing together polarities, alchemy, the world between worlds. Like it's being in a liminal space and being able to touch the tangible and the intangible, right? This is about really integrating the ways that you feel and you think, the seemingly disparate parts of your world. So whatever it is that you're dealing with that doesn't look and feel the way that you want it to feel, the death of something that needs to be let go of, the transformative aspect of having the defibrillator on your heart, and like this commitment to something, there is also overarching, like in the whole scheme of like your guidance that's coming through is really staying true to yourself in the sense of like being able to walk the middle path, you know, not being in any kind of extreme or anything like that, being able to blend aspects of yourself or life that feel like they wouldn't normally go together, right? Like if you've ever put something in a blender is the easiest way, but like if you've ever even mixed things the way that the cups are being mixed in the actual Temperance card, right? As you see here, if you've ever like been mixing and matching things in this way, you see that after a period of time moving things back and forth, or like you do in a blender, they start to become, they homogenize and they become a new element, right? And so what once was separate and didn't make sense, suddenly it makes sense because it's a whole new being, it's a whole new entity, it's a whole new substance, right? And so how does this make sense for your overall month and like what you're being told? And I think that it's like, hey, you can let go of all of these things that no longer are serving you. You can release these things, and what doesn't, like, you can look at the things that you're like, it doesn't look or feel the way that I want it to feel. I have regrets about it. I have all these feelings about it. And you can basically just take that and go, let me glean from that. Let me sift through that, filter through that, to have only the like all the sediment that is like loose and fine drops down, and what you have is this more like weighty and more tangible stuff that's in your hands. And you can say, okay, like this is what I have to work with. This is the new foundation here. And how do I bring together these aspects of my life? How do I bring together my authenticity and what I feel is true to myself and this creation of what feels stable in my life? How do I be stable and be authentic to what is true for me, what I feel is true for me, what I think is true for me at the same time? You know, how do I have the strength to face this and to not be too impulsive and to like, but also not to ignore that you're being given opportunities and possibilities. You need to be able to widen your lens and see that that's available. So I hope that that makes sense for you, Aries. Hopefully that makes sense. Whew, that was interesting. That was an interesting reading. So for any of you that are here, you're welcome to throw your zodiac sign, either your sun sign, your moon sign, or your rising sign. You can throw that into the chat, and I will read that one next unless I've already read it. So I have a few more left, just so you know. Let's take a look here. So I have Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. So unless somebody wants to throw that into the chat, you guys can let me know what you want me to hit up next. I'll give it a second because I know there's a delay, and then I'm going to move on to the next, and I'm going to try to like rapid fire through these. I know I tend to like talk a lot, and that's like why. Yeah. So, oh my god, hi. So good to see you. Oh, totally good, Michael. It's all good if you had to jump off. No worries. I already finished with it. So, let me just grab something for my cat. And I think that I will either go with Scorpio or Taurus. And if nobody has a preference, then I will go with that. So, 1 second. Okay. All right. So, I don't see anything in the chat. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and go with, let's go Scorpio. All right, Scorpios, rising sign, sun sign, or moon sign. You don't have to know like all of your natal chart, but those are the main 3, right? So, all right, we're going to try to like blaze through these. Not blaze, but blaze. I feel like this is actually here and here. There we go. All right, and let's take a look at the middle of the month. I love that card. Or sorry, the beginning of the month, middle of the month, and end of the month. Challenge card. Ooh, interesting. We had that earlier for a challenge card as well. All right, and we're using a different deck. And spiritual advice, which I feel like subconsciously interesting physically. All right. So, Scorpios, let's go ahead and do that. All right, Scorpio. So, the overall vibe of the month that we have is like there is some real study or learning that is happening. There's a lot of like, I think, inner exploration with your, like what's true for you, what feels right for you, what is balanced for you in your life. What's fair for you in your life. And I feel like that's like a main theme that's really coming through because we have the Hierophant and the Justice card that are the overarching themes for this month, right? And so, you know, and I actually love in this deck, like this is my most favorite out of all the decks I've ever gotten so far. This is my favorite Hierophant card, right? Like this is the sage, it's the teacher, it's the holder of wisdom for the collective, right? And so there is this tapping into this energy, and also with the Justice card we have like you tapping into like what is true for you, what's balanced, what feels right, what's fair. And so I don't know what some of you are actually dealing with, but that's what some of you are actually dealing with regard to like your month of December. I know a lot of shit comes up during the month because of like family and holidays, at least in North America, right? So like that's a lot of what comes up, but like this is what I'm seeing here, right? So beginning of the month, I think that you're really trying to kind of like choose between a lot of these different ideas and the things that you imagine and dream about and what you want to create, and not really sure about like what that exactly is. And then we move into the middle of the month and there is this kind of like grounding experience, like this feeling of wanting to have things be solid and to be like solidifying your legacy, or at least at the very least like your roots in your community or the world, right? In what you're creating. And then we move into the end of the month, and there is like this really blending of different, like what we ended on for Sagittarius, right? Which is like this blending of selves, blending of polarities, blending of parts of your life, of things that feel disparate that come into a place of like alchemy, right? Like there's a transmutation, there's a transformation that happens within that space, right? And then we have your challenge, which is like there's an empty cup. Like there's a feeling of loss of hope or loss of feeling full in life with your emotions and feeling just kind of drained. And so in order to move outside of that, you really need to be paying attention to what feels nourishing and nurturing to you on a very physical level. Like not only the things that you value in your immediate home environment, like where you live, having it feel that way, but also in a way where you are like literally physically feeding yourself nourishing and nurturing food, where you are literally like getting good sleep, drinking good water, like doing the things that are like on a physical level very nourishing and nurturing to you. And also like through that process, this is where you will get the spark of creativity, that flash of insight and excitement for what comes next. So I feel like January is going to be like the bigger month for you versus this month. This month feels very like inward and internal. Like out of all of the readings I've done so far today, this one feels like the most internal that I can see. So let's get into it, right? So that way, because we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. What time is it? Oh my gosh. All right. So, okay. Yeah. All right. As much as I ever try to like seriously move through these quickly, it never happens that quickly. All right, so we have at the beginning of the month, we have the 7 of Cups, right? 7 of Cups, like there are a lot of things that you're trying to imagine that you see in different areas of your life that you're trying to pick through, and like, which one do I pick? Which one feels the best to me? Which path feels the best to me? Which one feels like it's going to be the most successful or the most fulfilling and heart fulfilling, especially because we're talking about the cups, right? And then we move into the middle of the month and it's like, okay, we have like this, the king of stars, the king of the firmament, the king of matter, and what actually matters to you, right? And what matters to your stability, your sense of safety, and your values in the world. This is what's most up for you in the middle of the month and like working towards this. I feel like at the beginning of the month, you're trying to choose which path is actually going to bring you into a space where you get to have this in your life. And so you're working towards it and you're like, okay, I need to choose like which one, you know? And just like that said, I'm just going to say like just a piece of advice that you may or may not take, Scorpio, but like this month, I don't feel like, I'm not saying don't make moves. I'm just saying like, it doesn't seem like the month where things are going to be actually the most clear. So even if you choose something, any of the zodiac signs, even if you choose a path, I feel like I just want to caution you to stay open, right? I think you're going to get to the end of the month and you're still going to be kind of weighing things out and feeling out like, how do these like very, you know, different pieces of the puzzle actually come together, right? Because we have the Temperance card that shows up, right? So, and this is like being in between worlds. This is taking the middle path. It's like, I feel like the beginning of the month is you're trying to choose what it is. In the middle of the month, you're like, okay, I think I know like how to keep this grounded. And then the end of the month, you're just like back in this place where you're like, okay, I've chosen the path, but how do I bring these pieces together? So you're still trying to figure it out, which makes a lot of sense. We're about to like, I know that Mercury retrograde gets like a lot of shit and people blame a lot of things on it, but like Mercury retrograde is really it's one of several retrogrades that happens every fucking year. Like it's not the only retrograde that happens every year. In fact, it's going to be the 4th one, which is not common, that's going to be happening this year towards the end of the month in December. So I think that it's going to have you revisiting, revising, considering, how do I want to move forward with these, whatever projects, relationships, people, or things in my life, right? Now, I think that this process, like this particular month, has you feeling like kind of drained. Like you're just feeling like, I'm not really feeling completely fulfilled, feel drained. This isn't working for me. I can't do this. I'm out of gas. I'm out of steam. I don't have like the energy to continue. And so what you're being told is to really come back to, I think like it's interesting. You have the King of Stars and the Queen of Stars that are showing up, right? So the antidote is this more nurturing aspect. The Queen of Stars is really, she's really full of life, and she's really nurturing. She creates like, it's like, you know, when you walk into somebody's home and immediately it just feels really comfortable and warm, and it just feels like home to you, and you're just like, what is this? I just feel like immediately comfortable. I feel immediately like I can just relax here. Like my nervous system just like relaxes here. That's the energy of the Queen of Stars, the Queen of the firmament, of the physical and the material, like the matter. And so what matters to you in terms of feeling nourished and nurtured in your world, in your physical world? And maybe that's finances, partially, but also what other things affect your senses, all of your senses, to help your nervous system like really feel like it can just drop into this space that feels really good, right? So I want you to pay attention to that, Scorpio. And then also, like, the other advice that you have is like, okay, but let's also pay attention to like, you're getting some flashes of insight during this period of the month. Like you may not be able to necessarily decide exactly how you want it to go or exactly where you should be going, but you definitely have like sparked curiosity, sparked like intuition, creativity, like a desire to go, a strong desire to go in a certain direction. Pay attention to that. All right, Scorpio, so that's what I've got for you, Scorpios. And next, unless I see anything coming up in the chat, I'm going to take some water. We're going to move on to Libra or Taurus. All right, so Libra or Taurus. I kind of like that I'm working my way backwards this month, so I'm going to go with Libra. I know one Libra in my life that would be like, why didn't you use the anime deck? So I'm going to use the anime deck. All right, I'm actually feeling this for my Libras. Queen of Cups. Okay. All right. All right. So we have beginning, middle, end. Interesting. I feel like this card came before this one. I feel like it makes more sense. Okay. We're going to do that because they popped out together. All right, so and then I feel like this one, nope, this one is the one that crosses. This one is the spiritual advice, these two. All right. Okay, Libra. So this is for Libra, rising, sun, or moon. Oh, Taurus? Okay, so sorry. Okay, I'll hurry through this one and then I'll go right to Taurus next. So we'll do Taurus next. Okay, I made a little mark so that I know to go to Taurus next. All right, Libra, let's get into it. So Libra, the overall vibe of the month is we have the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is really all about this also nourishing and nurturing kind of energy. I feel like everybody's kind of getting this vibe through all of their readings, mostly because this month we need it. I think all of us need it. So, but this is more on an emotional level. So this is about how are you taking care of yourself emotionally. That means like, what are you doing to calm your nervous system? What are you doing to take care of your, like your mental health takes care of your emotional health. What are you doing to like connect with friends or your support network that can like really create a sense of safety for you? I feel like this is an important month for you to like make sure that you're taking care of yourself in that way emotionally. As we move through the month, it looks like there's something that you're needing to really let go of. And like, as we're coming into January, right? Like there's something that you're like needing to like, the remnants of it need to be let go. Then we come into a space where like, there's something maybe from your past or your childhood, maybe somebody that you knew from your childhood, could be an ex for some of you who are looking at relationships, that comes through, like something that like it feels nostalgic, it feels good, or there's some kind of like quality that is about that comes through this in the middle of the month. And then towards the end of the month, it's like you really feel like there's some kind of shift that's happening for you, that feels like you are getting the life you want. Like you feel like hopeful about like getting the life that you really want. The thing that is really kind of creating an obstacle and crossing here is the Empress card, and we have like this, it's kind of like ignoring the things that would actually be a benefit to you, that would be nurturing for you and nourishing for you and creative and building something, building something that is really like bountiful, as opposed to there can also be like this doing of like overdoing, right? Because it's a Venus ruled card, it's a Taurus ruled card, and it's like if we indulge too much, if we overdo, overspend, overvalue people or projects or things or whatever, like this can actually pull us into a place that is really unhealthy. And then like the advice that we have coming through here is like creating a sense of stability and actually moving into a space where you're like really transcending, where you were and bringing together these really powerful aspects of like flow and action in order to move into the next realm. So let's take a look at this a little bit more deeply, and then we can like move forward into, I think the next one that we're doing Taurus next. So, oh, sorry, I just saw, hi, Don Juan, thank you for joining. So let's get into the beginning of the month. So in the beginning of the month, I think that for some of you Librans, I feel like it's not by choice that you're going to have to let go of things that are in your world. The Death card comes up, and this is really like, you can either let go or it's going to be taken from you. And I feel like for some of you, for whatever reason, it feels like, to pry it out of my cold dead hands. So I feel like this is like not really the most easy of transitions for some of you Librans. Now, for some of you, you could be really go with the flow, and that's great. Awesome. But I'm not feeling like that's the way it is for all of you. We come into the middle of the month, and I feel like there's either somebody like, again, this could be with friendships, it could be with work, with colleagues, with relationships, certainly, right? We've got the Six of Cups. Six of Cups, this is like exes coming back on the scene, or you're considering an ex or something like that. Could also be people like literally that you were connected to from your childhood that are helping you move into the next phase, or that you're tapping into or reaching out to move into the next phase, something of your life, whether that's career-wise or whatever it is, right? And then we move into the end of the month where things feel really hopeful and beautiful. We've got the Ten of Cups, right? Now, when the traditional cards were created, the Ten of Cups were like very much based on what the collective was about at that time, which was like, it's a family and a piece of land and like blah, 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 right? That could be very different for you. So if the imagery doesn't really match what you would call like your ideal, then whatever it is, if your ideal is like, I have travel points on 5 different credit cards and I go first class to different parts of the world and that's how I live my life, then that's your Ten of Cups. But whatever your Ten of Cups is, it's like this moving into this next stage where you feel very hopeful. Right? This is the 10 of Cups. So you feel very hopeful about like, I feel like this is going to really come about. I feel like this is going to be really created. Things feel really hopeful. I can feel the fruition of this coming forward, right? What you need to watch out for is this Empress card that I was talking about, which is either, being in a place that is depleted and or doing things in excess, spending too much, spending more than what you have, looking at the future and being like, oh, but I'm about to like make all this money, or I'm about to have this life, and so I can just spend this money now. I have the money to spend now. Not going to benefit you. It's going to come back and smack you in the face. So you don't want to do that. What you do have advice to do is to create a foundation. So 4 of Cups, depending on the position, is a card that I love or don't. But the 4 of Cups in this particular position is really about creating a sense of stability, something that where you have created a foundation, something that you can stand on. And it's like, kind of like we can look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Are your basic food and water and shelter needs taken care of, right? Like, do you have these things taken care of? Creating a sense of stability and not overspending, overdoing, right? And I know this is the month of all of the months in the year that's probably the most about like overindulging, overspending, and blah, blah, blah. But this is the month where you actually really want to be very careful about the way that you go about handling this. And then we have the Lovers card that actually shows up with that as well. And so with the Lovers card is really about, and a lot of people mistake what the Lovers card is actually about, but the Lovers card is actually about bringing together, we could say yin and yang, right? But that's very abstract. So we could talk about like being able to flow with the way that life comes towards you and how you're adaptable and able to move with it. And also being able to take charge and say, I'm going to get over that motherfucking rock right there, and I'm not going to flow around it if I'm not happening to flow around it. I'm going to fucking go over it and get to the other side, right? So there is this balance between I'm going to do this shit and I'm going to just be with this and allow, right? And so when you bring these aspects together in a harmonious way, when you're very present, when you're able to like really hear and see and listen to the messages that come through your intuition, and noticing also realistically and very reasonably and tangibly what is happening in this world, you can utilize all of this information, both intuitively and externally, to make your moves in a way that feels like it's congruent and there's some type of like, it makes sense on a different level. It feels almost divinely orchestrated, right? So that's what I have for you. All right. That is my Libra peoples. Next, we're moving on to Taurus. All right, Taurus. It's Taurus, and then the last 3 besides Taurus is we have Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Okay? Take a sip of water here. We're almost there. I know it's so dark. All right, Taurus. Yeah, I'm feeling this deck for Taurus. All right, Taurus. What do we have going on for you for the month of December? I feel like this card is the card out. That doesn't count. My hands are cold. I should turn on my heater. Here I am in a scarf and long sleeves, and I could totally turn on my heater. All right, Taurus. What do we have for you? Beginning of the month. Interesting. Ooh, I feel like this one, middle of the month. End of the month. Interesting. Challenge. Spiritual advice. It just all came together. It just all came together. let's see. You gotta be patient, Taurus. Taurus, I feel like Taurus, okay, so this is Taurus rising sun or moon sign. I feel like Taurus people that I know that have very strong Taurian placements are typically, they're all right with the grounded patience, but there is something with that this month. And forward movement and what you're creating. So let's take a look at this. You're being called to make some moves for sure. So we start off with the Temperance card. Okay. So this is the overall vibe. We've gotten this like across different decks now today. So this is like, I feel like this is a theme that's coming up for some of you. Be interesting. I'll go back and maybe look at this and see if it's like cardinal, fixed, or mutable signs. So we have the Temperance card. You know, this is really like, I think that you are, sorry, I'm still getting over a cold, you guys. I feel like you guys are working with balancing out these different areas of your life, and you're looking for like, what is the middle path? What is the higher middle path? Like, how do I rise into this? You're partly in the material world and partly in, maybe we could call it the spiritual world. And like, how do we blend these aspects together of your world and what you're doing, right? Taurus, you guys have some stuff going on, if I'm being really honest. Actually, let me look at the chart for a second. Where is it? Yeah, because not only do you guys have the North Node and Uranus in your sign, which is a lot, you know? So I feel like you guys are probably feeling this quite a bit. But yeah, as we're coming through this month, I see like there's gonna be some interesting, hard kind of aspects to what is like the structure of your life and what is actually stable in this way. One second, you guys. I want to make sure that, okay. So yeah. So anyway, this is like, it feels like there are some interesting maybe challenges for this particular month for Taurus. And honestly, Taurus, like, look, I'll say this. When I had one of the nodes in my sign, my sun sign and Sagittarius sign, I had a really interesting 18 months. And if you've been on this train, just know in the spring, it will shift into another sign and you'll probably feel a sigh of relief, just so you know. Okay, so let's start with the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month, there is this kind of like, you're being encouraged to move in a place where you are exploring the things that make you curious and passionate, the things that spark and stoke your curiosity. This is the adventurer. This is sometimes the traveler, but this is the one who's like, I'm going to go towards what makes me excited and happy in this world. And this is what is the flavor of the beginning of the month for you, is like, maybe you get a spark of inspiration about where you're supposed to move and go towards next in life, or what excites you. You need to pay attention to that. We get into the middle of the month and we have the Three of Wands that's showing up. So more fire showing up for you in the middle of the month. The Three of Wands is really about making moves, making plans and then making moves. The like leading up to this card, like we have the Ace of Wands, which is like the spark of like, you know, flash of insight and inspiration and like the fire and, you know, passion to go forward. And then the Two of Wands, which is like, let me decide like which world I want to explore and what I want to create. Three of Wands, the Three of Wands is all about like, all right, it's time to make some moves now. Like it's about action, it's action oriented, and it's time to move forward, right? So, and then we go into the end of the month, the end of December, we have the King of Cups, right? Yes. Yes, King of Cups. I just want to make sure. So the King of Cups. King of Cups is like, okay, I've decided to go into this direction and explore my passions or curiosities and stoke my creative desire in these ways. I'm going to do what feels good to me. Like the way that I'm going to create my world and like my kingdom is through intuitively what feels good to me. And I'm not going to let my emotions take control, like, right, like spontaneity or emotions and intuition doesn't like rule the day. It's more like I have a sense of grounding about like I feel all of these like intuitive feelings and this creativity and this passion and this fire, but I'm going to go towards what feels good, and what I'm going to create is going to be grounded. I can hold my shit together. Like the waves of emotion that come through, especially through the holidays, is not going to throw me off kilter, if that makes sense, right? So the challenge that we have here for you is the 7 of Stars. So 7 of Stars is the 7 of Pentacles in other suits, right? So it's the Earth, we would say, right? But this is like they're relating Earth to stars and matter and whatnot, right? Like other planets and stars and whatnot. So when we look at this is really about like you've watered the garden, you've tended to the garden, you've pruned it, you've planted, you've done all the different things, you've tended to the garden, and now you're starting to like look at the fruits of your labor. And because it's in a challenge position, you might be feeling impatient with the harvest coming through, and like it's not growing as fast as you want. It's not bringing things to fruition in the way that you had hoped. It's like, oh, this isn't growing the way that I had hoped it would grow, or it's not bearing as much fruit as I would have wanted it to or expected it to, right? And that's the challenge that comes through in this particular month. It's like there's all this energy and action to like move forward and go and do these things, but then there's just like, but like it's not moving fast enough, which is okay. We have Mars in retrograde. We're about to have Mercury in retrograde, right? Like we just came out of a couple of retrogrades, but planets are moving slowly. So we only have a couple planets retrograde currently, and then we're like, there's still like some, like the inertia is not really just like spinning. It's just like a little bit more trudgy and slow, despite the amount of intuitive, like curiosity stoking, like inspirational energy that you have going forward, right? So the advice that you're being given here is, I think, really beautiful. You have 2 major arcana cards, which is like you have the Chariot and the Empress, right? So this is about moving forward in an aligned way. Here again, we have this piece about creativity. This is actually a Taurus card. The Empress card is actually a Taurus card. It's a Venusian card, right? And so this is really about like what I want to create in my life, as long as it feels aligned. This is aligned action. This is the way that it moves forward. Your creative spark and ideas and things that are coming through in the beginning and the middle of the month, it's only going to move forward if it's actually done in a way that is aligned with all levels. Like, does this align on all levels of my life that are actually important? My mental health, my physical health, my emotional health. Like, does it touch all the touchstones that are like the cornerstones of foundation and what's important to build something on top of, right? And then you move forward, right? Like this is a way of moving forward with intuitive clarity, with awareness, and also with grounding, right? Like when people are just in a space that is intuitive, this is one of the things that bugs the absolute shit out of me with when it comes to like spiritual community and whatever, is like people are just like too far in one camp or the other, and they have no tethering to anything that's realistic or grounded. They're just like way out in the ethers, and they're just like, I'm out here and I just live in this world, and they have no grounding or realistic anything. There is a blend of both, right? Which is what we were talking about as the overall vibe of the month. So this is what to go with. That's what's happening for you, Taurus. That's what I see. Hopefully that's helpful for you. That's for Taurus, sun, rising, or moon signs. So hopefully that was helpful for you. Again, you can, you can watch any of these for your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign, any of them. It doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I would do rising sign probably first, and then I would look at my sun sign. Most people know what their sun sign is. And then your moon sign, more like if you are kind of curious about maybe the more emotional, intuitive, and more sensitive aspects of your life for this month. Okay. Okay. So next, I think I'm going to go with Gemini. I'm going to do Gemini, and, which deck do I want to do? I feel like that's going to be Leo, actually. We have Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Yeah, I'm going to do Gemini with this one. All right. Did we do Virgo? Oh, no, I'm sorry. So we have, yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, so we have Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. So we're about to do Gemini right now. And give me 1 second, you guys. My cat she's not allowed to be on this counter, but she's like learned to open the double door from underneath in my kitchen. 1 second. She's smart. If you own kitty cats, you understand. All right, let's see about maybe, there we go, turning that up a little bit. It's pretty bright for me, but I am planning to get a soft box, and I'm almost done setting up the basics of the filming room, so it'll be a little bit different setup. It's not going to look pretty probably for a while, but that's what we got. So, all right, Geminis. Gemini, what do we have going on for my Gemini rising, sun, or moon? I feel like that's the overall vibe of the month. The Hermit card. And I feel like that's I keep feeling like the bottom of the deck, beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month. Okay. And a lot of swords. Ooh, as a Gemini, card, like a Gemini sign, it's like, this is earth, or I mean air, it's mutable air. It's very interesting that we have like so many swords coming through for you guys because of all of that mental energy. I think some of you are probably dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of being in your head for Gemini rising, sun, or moon. And I feel like this is the spiritual advice. And then we might pick another one, actually subconsciously here. All right. So let's take a look here at what we've got. All right. Gemini, rising, sun, or moon. All right. Geminis, you guys are asking yourself some really big picture questions this month. And I feel like you're getting some clarity and guidance that like feels like it comes through in the beginning of the month, and then really trying to discern which path to take, and part of your intuition needs to be enacted to actually do this. There's something towards the end of the month that's going to feel pretty disappointing and not going to feel like it's not what you really wanted. It's something that you either feel like a sense of loss or grief or disappointment about. It doesn't have to be major. Sometimes this is like, oh, a project didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, or something like that, right? And when we're looking at like what happens with the challenge for the month of December, it's like, let's say that I think there is like, it's a couple of different things, that there is like this doubt that you have the ability to, there's this doubt that you have the ability to overcome the obstacles and come out victorious for the things that you actually want to do in this world. And then there's also this like celebrating something that hasn't been really won yet. And for some of you, it's also just like feeling like this emptiness about the win. I feel like that's only like 4 or 5 of you that end up watching this video. Is like there's like some kind of like it's an empty win. And then for others of you, there's like this ego hit of like, I'm not victorious, I'm not going to win, it didn't come out the way that I wanted it to, it's not happening, right? And your spiritual advice is actually like really lovely about coming into a place of understanding your desires, looking for win-win solutions, and remembering your heart space as like from when you were a child, like remembering what made you feel really happy and joyful and tuning into that. So we'll break this all down, but I just wanted to give you the overview for right now. So let's start off with the overall vibe of the month, which is the Hermit card, right? So we have the Hermit. The Hermit is about going inward and asking the big picture questions. You need to stop asking, like, here's the thing. I'm not saying don't ask for advice and listen to and heed the advice of your elders or people who are in your community or your friendship circles who are wise and wonderful. Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that sometimes there's a point where, especially as a Gemini rising or sun sign or moon, there's too many asking questions. There's too much curiosity. There is too much deliberating both sides and all of the sides. And there is a point where you need to actually come into yourself and ask yourself the questions and ask yourself, what is valuable to you? What do you want next in this world? What is it that you want to create? What kind of relationships do you want? What kind of passions do you want to pursue? All of the big picture questions, going inward and getting really solid about this, okay? And then we come into the beginning of the month and we have the Ace of Swords. My God, look at this beautiful Ace of Swords card. This is so amazing. I love this deck. So we have the Ace of Swords. And with the Ace of Swords, this is like, okay, so I wonder if it shows it in this. So what you can kind of see, so you see this ethereal figure. Let's see if I can like show this. Hold on, let's do this. Okay, you see this ethereal figure with like the head up here, mouth, head. I know it's a little hard to tell on the screen, right? So, and holding the sword upright out of the ethers, no bottom half of the body, right? Like just has appeared out of the ether, right? And so this is like, you are getting divine guidance and clarity for yourself about what you are meant to do next. And what you need to do is actually pay attention to the kind of clarity and awareness and the omens and the inspiration, the things that are coming through in this way. You're getting information and you need to be able to recognize and accept this. I would highly recommend, there are a couple of you, for whatever reason, that journaling during this month, or during the beginning of the month, especially for the full moon that is in tropical Gemini, and I think in sidereal, I haven't checked yet, but actually let's check. 1 second. Let's check. So, chart calculations. It'll be in Taurus. Yeah. So for some of you, it will be in, I mean, depending on which system you follow, it'll be in Taurus or it'll be in Gemini. There we go. Okay. So this is like, more to the point, is just like, you just need to be in a space where you are recognizing that you're being given a lot of gifts and a lot of information, especially if you're following the tropical system. Absolutely. Full moon in Gemini. This is all about the mind. Everything that we have here that's happening and showing up in the beginning, or in the beginning, middle, and the end of the month, is all sword suits. Sword suits are all about air. This is like, the air is all about your thoughts, your beliefs, your mind, right? So we come into the middle of the month and there is a decision. There's a fork in the road that you're hitting with whatever it is, whether it's a project or people or yourself, and like your given timeline for your, Believe me, I've given myself my own timelines and been like, you have until this time to make this decision. Enough is enough. So I'm a Gemini rising in both tropical and sidereal. So it's very, very like straight up for me. Like I get this energy. And so you come to the middle of the month, Gemini rising, sun or moon, which is like you need to make a decision, and you cannot be in your head about this. This cannot be all in your head and making the decision from a place of like your thoughts only. You need to actually be making this decision with your intuition. Notice that she's blindfolded. Let's see if I can, do you see that? I think you can, I think it focuses enough where you can see that. So she is blindfolded in this, right, in this card. That means that, like, think about the times where you have ever been blindfolded in your life as a kid, or like somebody comes up behind you and they put their hands over you, right? You have to tune into immediately your other senses. You're tuning into your hearing, your feeling, your like everything else. Everything else gets tuned up and turned on. That's what you need to tune into, is your intuition, in order to make the decisions that you're going to make. The middle of the month is going to present an opportunity for you to make a decision, and you're going to have to make it not from just a mental space. It can't just be rational. It can't just be about your thoughts or beliefs. It needs to include your emotions, your intuition, what you actually feel, right, in this space. Okay. Now, I know that this isn't going to feel the most pleasant, and I feel like the need to pull another card for this. So let's pull another card for this before I give that one to you. Because okay. So at the end of the month, we have the Three of Swords. Okay. Three of Swords showing up, which is things do not feel or look the way that you might have wanted, in a way that feels frustrating, disappointing. It might feel like loss or grief, uncomfortable, essentially, right? And so this is what shows up at the end of the month. So this is like at a time where, honestly, like if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you're in the United States, like this is the time of like death and rebirth anyways. We're going through a period of like, this year is done, the calendar year. I don't know what that was. But the calendar year, the Gregorian calendar year is done, and we're moving into what's called the new year, right? Like, honestly, I've never felt at home with the new year being in the middle of winter. I've always felt like, you know, the spring equinox was like what felt like the beginning of the year to me. But it is a marker. It's a point, at least in our collective consciousness. Like the collective feels like we all recognize, oh, we're moving out of this year and into this year. And there is a sense of movement, right? And that feels like a marked point in our society. So we're moving out of that, and connected to this, for whatever reason, the King of Wands shows up, right? So I feel like this is really connected to, you wanted things to move faster than they're moving. You wanted something that you had maybe intuitively felt was going to move faster or move in a certain direction, and it's not moving in that direction fast enough. And so this is a point where you want to just allow for the fact that like you might have to, maybe there were certain plans that were hinged on things moving faster, or there were certain opportunities that were hinged on things moving faster or in a certain direction at a certain pace, right? And there is like the grieving of like, wow, this, I could lose this opportunity or this thing that I'm perceiving as an opportunity because of it, right? Maybe it could be a person as well, right? So like, so this is just accepting the fact that whatever it was that you wanted to move forward quickly and that you wanted to move because you intuitively felt like this is supposed to happen. There's like this kind of friction with like, it was supposed to happen, but it's not happening. Okay. Then like that kind of brings us into the challenge card, which is the Six of Wands. So we have the Six of Wands, which is normally like in a different position. It would be like this victorious card, like you've come out of the battle on the other side and you've like won, but it's like instead you're like, there's still more battle to go. I still have more battle to go. I don't want to do more battle. I am done. I don't want to do more battle, right? And it's just also, it could feel like an empty victory for some of you, like I was telling you before. So like there are a couple of different ways that this can manifest. Again, this is a collective reading. So if this is meant for you to like hear and watch and you're here now and you're watching it, or if you're watching the recording later on YouTube or Rumble, great, awesome. If you want something specific to you, like I've said before, shameless plug, you can go into my bio, book a reading, 30, 60, or 90-minute reading. You can book it with me. It's live. We can go over specifically what it is for you. The spiritual advice that you're getting, Gemini, rising, sun, or moon, is actually coming back to a place of like nostalgia, coming back to a place of like, there might be somebody who is either an ex, or it could be an ex-friendship, or somebody that you knew from a long time ago. It doesn't have to be childhood, but it can be like from your past, that brings a sense of like lightness, safety, security, freedom, openness, flow, fun, even, that feels good, essentially, and helps you with this project or this person or whatever the situation is. And then we also have the Five of Wands showing up as your advice. Now, depending on the position, the Five of Wands can mean a host of different things. However, in this particular position with the Five of Wands, I'm going to say that this is really about you understanding what you desire and what you're bringing to the table. Normally, the Five of Wands is about like sparring, kind of like, you know, playful sparring, sports sparring, debating, you know, for what we want, like having opposing desires and sparring to try and find the middle ground, the understanding, and like what can actually work. And so in this space, I feel like there is either someone that comes through, or there's a remembrance of yours that like comes through that's nostalgic, that helps you to tap into like your desire and what it is that you want to put on the table and that you actually want to work towards. And so I hope that really makes sense to you. That makes sense to me, like a lot. It really makes sense to me. So I'm hoping that I explained that clearly enough for you guys. Yeah. Okay, so that's Gemini. Who do we have left? Who do we have left? Let's see. Okay. So we've done Gemini. Okay, so we have Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. All right, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Ooh. I'm gonna go Leo. So Leo, sun sign. Leo, rising sign. Leo, moon sign. Let's find out what's going on for my Leos. Okay. Some of y'all feeling a lack. Nope. Leo sun, rising, or moon. I felt this one back here. How interesting that aligns with the Five of Pentacles. I felt this card was like right in here. I love when this happens across different decks. All right. I love when this happens across different decks. Okay. All right, y'all. So here we've got our Leos. Leo, sun sign, rising sign, moon sign. For those of you who are watching for yourself or cross watchers. All right, let's take a look at it. Overall, I'm going to be a little bit harsh, Leo. Not that I really want to, but let's talk about it. We've got the vibe of the month happening for December as the Five of Pentacles. Look at this sorrowful, pitiful, kind of like I am a victim kind of perspective. I feel like some of you are just like, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? This is not my normal royal experience and I don't like it. It's very dark. It feels uncomfortable. And that's a part of what's coloring the month of December for you guys. Now, for those of you who are, let's see, I don't even know if I would see it there. I think I would have to look. Yeah, I don't know where it's hitting for anyone who is a Leo. I'd have to actually find it. I wonder if I did. Let's do this second chart as... Sorry, you guys. I'm just going to like pull this up. So for some, that's actually, okay, let's do tropical because I know that most of you are following tropical astrology and not sidereal astrology. So I'm going to say that this is Leos. Yeah, I'm going to say that this is probably hitting a lot of you Leos in more of the community aspect. So I'm going to say that probably for a lot of you, not all of you, but for a lot of you, this is probably hitting more in your community and more in like your friendship groups, more in like more in your social media, blah, 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 right? So for whatever reason, that's what's happening. There is some kind of conflict with what you want and what other people want in this world happening at the beginning of the month. And it's going to prove to be too much for you because you're going to get to the middle of December and you're just going to be like, fuck this, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go off on my own and I'm going to seek my own guidance. I'm going to go on my own quest, my own spiritual quest or my own quest. This feels too fucking heavy, whatever this project was or this relationship or this person or people or a group or a community or whatever. It just feels like too fucking much. And you're just like, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this. And you get to the point where it's like you're going through this process and by the end of the month, you feel like what you're really considering is, okay, what's right for me? What feels fair and just and balanced? How do I balance these different aspects of my life in a way that is authentic to me and staying true to myself, right? That's what this is really about. So that's how we have the month shaping up for you, Leo. And yeah, it's interesting. So for some of you, this is, if you're applying this to a relationship, Leo sun, Leo rising, Leo moon sign, if you're applying this to a relationship, what we have as an obstacle or a challenge for you is the Six of Cups. There's somebody from your past that shows up or that you're thinking about or feeling about that is an obstruction, that is some kind of consideration that is at least having you pause or throwing a wrench in the works, and you need to really be thinking about and considering this, right? Like this is like, it's problematic. Yeah, it's problematic. And it's not necessarily someone who's probably good for you, because the fact that it's showing up in a place that is a challenge means that like they're probably someone that, I don't know if they're still toxic, maybe they're not, but they at least had contributed not the best experiences or energy to your life at that particular time. Maybe they're different now. I don't know. But whoever this was, whatever this was from your past, if it's not a person, it's something from your past that shows up. So that's something to just be aware of, like that kind of gets in the way that I think you're going to really be coming face to face with in the middle of the month here, in December. So we go into the spiritual advice. I really actually like the spiritual advice that you're getting. I know it doesn't seem, well, I'll show you. I'm like, I know it doesn't seem to everybody like it would be so potent. But what I love about this is that there's this duality that's happening in both cards, right? So we see the Two of Swords and we see the Temperance card showing up again. Notice the two cups, two swords, the mental and the emotional. And the Temperance card often represents being in these liminal spaces, right? Like you're in between worlds. You're not just in one space or the other. My hair is like, I can feel something coming towards my eye. So you're in this liminal space. You're in this world between worlds. And so you're holding them both, and you're holding them both and trying to figure out, like, what are you actually supposed to do with this shit? You're meant to tune inwards. So this is inwards, right? This is tuning inwards. This is tuning upwards, right? This is tuning into your higher self, higher frequencies, your guides, all of these kinds of higher vibrational beings. This is you tuning into your intuition, your emotions. You cannot make this decision by like rational thought alone. Look at all this water. Look at this eclipse happening. You need to be in this space of being in your intuition, tuning inwards and tuning, we could say upwards, outwards, whatever it is to you, right? We all look up because it's like, I don't know, this is another conversation, but we like looking into a higher level of guidance and our deepest internal intuition. That's how you're going to make it through this month. That's how you're going to make it through any of the obstacles that show up from the past or people that show up in the past. How you're going to move through the pieces that are like the desires that don't fit and that you're at odds with, and how you're going to move through your spiritual journey, beyond your spiritual journey, and how you're going to come into a place that is in line and in truth with yourself, your authentic self, what's true for you, what's balanced for you. Okay? So that's what I have for you, Leo. Honestly, Leo, I'm going to say that is like, honestly, the best freaking reading I've had for you in almost a year. It's crazy. That's nuts. All right, we've got two left. We've got Cancer and Virgo. I see that we have a couple people in here, so I'll give a second if you want to add in either for your sun sign, your rising sign, or your moon sign. We have Cancer and Virgo. You can watch for yourself or for someone else, and you can throw it in the chat. I know that there is a delay. And while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to remove my cat one more time. She's like trying to open the pantry door again. Give me 1 second. She's very crafty. All right, we're doing Cancer first. All right, Cancers. Here we go. Virgo last. Cancer, sun sign, rising sign, moon sign. Oh, perfect. You just said Cancer. Perfect. I like the delay on this is like, I don't know how long the delay is. So it's perfect that I decided on Cancer and you said Cancer. All right. So Cancer, beautiful. I love this first card, Cancer. There's like some renewal, some hope. Beginning of the month, middle of the month. I'm feeling end of the month has 2 cards. Okay, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. Cancer. I'm sorry, my sensitive Cancers. That's not what I would want for you. All right, what's coming up with a challenge? Okay. So, very interesting cards, Cancer. Super interesting. Let's separate these. Look, overall, there's going to be some goodness, but I think that you're going to go through some letting go and some struggle on the way there. You're going to have to look at some shadow shit that you don't want to actually look at, that you've actually probably been trying to run away from. But you're getting support with this, and that's beneficial. You're going to have to make some moves though. For those of you who actually have Cancer placements that are like, oh, hey, hi. Capricorn, I did Capricorn earlier, but this will be up tomorrow. I'm spending tomorrow editing and uploading to YouTube and to Rumble. So it will be up tomorrow for sure. So you can watch the replay there. I mean, with the timestamps, if you wanted to try and like scroll through, the video that I just posted, before this, cause it live stream ended, I had to do 2. So there's a post in my IG stories in my profile. Sorry, this sounds so confusing. My last post on my IG is like a video that has Capricorn in it. So you can go like scroll through and find it, or I can just like, the timestamps will be on it tomorrow. Oh no, yeah, no, I've been on this for like a couple hours now. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to finish so fast tonight. No. So, I'm actually on my last, so we're doing Cancer, and then we're finishing off with Virgo. Okay. Cancer. Let's take a look at, like, here's the thing. I feel like you're getting the message that the overall vibe of this month is that there is a sense of renewal and renewed hope and optimism and like feelings of purification and beauty and things that feel really good, right? So that's what you're going to get. Now, this is for Cancer rising, Cancer sun sign, and Cancer moons, right? Now, Cancer moons, you guys, I just feel for you. Cancer moons, so tender, this particular reading. If you're watching this for Cancer moon, Jesus Christ. So very, like, just remember, hold on to this as you go through the month, Cancer. Hold on to this beautiful feeling. This is your reminder that you're being supported by the universe. Oh, you're a Cancer moon? Hugs. So you'll see with the rest of this reading. So Cancer moons, or Cancer anybody's, notice that one of the things that I love about the Ace cards is that you see that there's this cloud, right? And there's a hand coming out of this ethereal realm, right? It's just coming right out of the ethereal realm, which to me symbolizes the universe, goddess, God, whoever, angels, whatever, right, that you believe in. There is this otherworldly ethereal help that is coming through and reminding you that there is something to hold fast to and believe in. This renewal of your feelings, this renewal of the heart, this renewal of optimism, this purification of your energy is the point of this month. So whatever trials you go through this month, this is meant to move your heart into a more open space. Your tender, shelled heart is meant to, that beautiful, tender, moist little inside of your crab heart is meant to be opened in a way that is still in line with feeling safe and secure and hopeful. Okay? So it's a very tender kind of experience. In the beginning of the month, this is meant for you to be like, you're meant to be surveying what is happening in your world. So the night, out of all of the nights are all about action, right? They're all about moving forward, but the way that they all move forward is different, right? The Knight of Wands is like fire, and he just like acts first, things later. I'm just gonna rush into the fray, right? And the Knight of Pentacles is more grounded and stable. He's like, I'm gonna like perch on this like place where I can survey the battlefield. I'm gonna look at the big picture and strategize. I'm gonna be like, slow and steady wins the pace. I'm moving forward, but it's slow and steady in a way that's grounded, and I'm moving forward in this way. This is what the vibe is in the beginning of the month. Now, again, I know that today is the 5th, and I meant to actually do this on the 29th or the 30th, but I was sick as a I don't know. Why do we say sick as a dog? I was sick. I was really sick. I caught some kind of weird cold, and it rarely happens. But here we are. So this is probably what you're already experiencing. I'm posting this up tomorrow. So you're probably already experiencing this feeling of like, I'm trotting forward. I'm going at this kind of pace. I'm meant to be looking at let me survey the landscape, right? And then we come into the middle of the month, right? And so when we come into the middle of the month, we're looking at the 6 of Swords. And with the 6 of Swords, what we're looking at is moving on to new projects, moving on to new relationships, new friendships, new lands, new communications, new connections, moving in a new direction. And a lot of times we have this experience of feeling like we're leaving people behind. And what I encourage people to think about this as, instead of carrying maybe having a shift in our perspective, this is not necessarily like I'm leaving people behind, but more like the people in my life are not necessarily keeping pace, or a person in my life is not necessarily keeping pace with where I'm trying to take my life. And so I need for myself to allow whatever grief or whatever letting go is part of the experience. I need to just let that go so that I can move on with my life to this next level, and not be so worried about who I might be leaving behind or what I might be leaving behind, because you're not ever leaving it behind. You can always go back and visit. It's just not allowing people or projects or situations to hinder your forward progress. And that's what this is a part of. Now, when we come into the end of the month, I find it really interesting because we have this like kind of 1-2 punch. So we have this 1-2 punch of the Tower and the Queen of Pentacles, right? So I feel like there is this disillusionment, disassembling, this allowing for the foundation to crumble and be done with, and having a strike of realization before moving into a place that is actually more grounded and feels like, okay, yeah, this feels more stable, this feels more grounded, this feels more peaceful, like I can breathe and feel grounded in the space. And that's what this is actually about. That's what these cards are actually about. There's this letting go that was already occurring, but there's like, it's either going to happen in a way that is feeling destructive and really intense, and you're like, oh God, why? But when you don't fight the Tower and you just go, well, this is a shit show, let me just watch this all crumble and figure out, like, let me rummage through and find out, like, okay, what are the things I can glean from the rubbish, right? Like, what is something that is worth keeping and what isn't, right? Like, what can I use to create the next foundation that is a stronger and more stable foundation? And what needs to just like let go of that, right? That's what that is. So I'm hoping that makes sense for you guys. Part of the struggle that is occurring in the space, though, part of the blockage that's occurring is like not wanting to let go, not wanting to do this. You're just like in the middle of the month, you're like, but I don't want to let go. I don't want to move on completely, right? But shit is too heavy. You're allowing too much of a burden to be placed in your heart, in your emotional space. It's like weighing you down emotionally. It's weighing you down on so many different levels. And this is not something you can continue anymore. It's too much. It's too heavy. You need to let go. You need to like move on. Okay? Sorry, you guys. Like, I'm like been talking so long that my lips are getting like dry. Okay. All right. So we move into like, what is your spiritual advice, right? So your spiritual advice is like, you got to go into the shadows, honey. You gotta. I know Cancer placements that are really Cancerian. They're really on point. You guys will feel this quite a bit. But you have to go into the places that hurt, the places that are tender. And if that means that you need to find people who are supportive, great, you need to find people supportive. But that's what you need to do in order to find out what moves to make next, right? When you're trying to figure out like which direction you actually want to go in next, if you want to know what direction to go in next, you're not going to be able to figure it out just from a mental perspective, right? You have to be able to survey it in this way, right? From this place. But also, if you haven't faced the things that you're afraid of, if you haven't at least looked them in the eye, you know, not a physical person, it could be a physical person, but it doesn't have to be. But like, if you haven't actually looked this dead in the eye, if you haven't looked, it like flashed a light in the dark corners or underneath the carpet or underneath the couch where the dust bunnies live, then you're not going to have the kind of clarity and perspective that you need to have to know what world you want to create next. Look at this is one of the things that I really love about the Two of Wands is like you see that he's holding this globe, he's holding the world, and he's surveying, he's looking over from this vantage point. What does he actually want to be creating in this world, right? There's one of these that is actually holding itself up. It's actually saphened. It's actually, I was going to say, I forgot the word I was going to say, but it's like, it's basically connected to the wall itself. It's like actually secured to the wall itself, and it doesn't need any help to stand. So there's a part of the plan that's actually in place already, but in order to enact the rest of the plan, you have to make a decision about what it is that you want to create. And you can't make that from just like some mental or emotional space alone, right? This is like integrating action with it, but you can't do that until you've actually faced this. Okay? So I hope that is helpful for you, Cancer. Last one, we are on Virgo. Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising, Virgo Libra. I fed her, so I fed her mainly because I did not want her to do that while I was filming. Libra. Okay, we're gonna use this for Virgos. Here we go. Virgo. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Virgos. All right, Virgos. You guys are getting my pure birthday deck. Oh gosh. So I've been sick for a week, you guys, so I'm like barely getting sense, but that smells like California. Okay. You're a Virgo rising? Girl. Alright. You're getting my birthday deck. Virgo rising. Virgo sun. Virgo moons. This is for you. Oh, yeah, I feel like that's the overall. Ooh, King of Swords. Yeah, I love that for an overall vibe. So I usually tell people, this is what I think. Do what feels intuitively best for you. But I feel like a Virgo or any sign that you look at, I feel like rising sign is like what I would look at first. I used to look at sun sign first, but this is my current, what I think. Take it or leave it. I would go for rising sign first, sun sign next, moon sign last. So, I feel like this card here for the middle of the month. And awesome. Interesting, Virgos. We have some earth energy definitely coming through. We have some earth and some air energy coming through equally. So let's take a look at what is crossing you. Do some of you have some of you have an ex that is not supposed to be coming through. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, I feel like these, this, and this, and this. Alright. You gotta go with what you feel. So much earth. So much earth. Okay. All right, you guys, the last sign of the night. Let's get to it. So let's start with the overall vibe of the month. Libra? Okay, one more time, you guys. I'm so sorry. I will be right back. I think I'm gonna put a box in front of the pantry door. She just keeps opening it, and the thing is that when she gets into it, she just starts pulling things down. Like cats do. Give me 1 second. Lyra. Okay. Seriously. Okay. So the overall vibe that we have for the month is the King of Swords. So this is for our Virgo rising, Virgo sun, and Virgo moon signs. Okay? So we have the King of Swords. I know that this looks like a feminine card. This is a very interesting deck, but it is a King of Swords. So we have the King of Swords, and let's not get into like why it looks feminine. It's too charged, I think. So, King of Swords. This is all about being able to make decisions, whether they are seemingly cold and emotionally removed, or whether they're like, so you're making decisions for your life that are based on, I would say, rational decisions, things that are grounded in fact and reality, basically. And so this is the overarching theme for the month of December, is like you keep coming back to this place of, I feel like I need to make these decisions from a place that is really grounded, from a place that is really like realistic, from a place that is really solid and makes sense, right? And this is the place that you are building your foundation upon, whether this is for a relationship or a career path or whatever it is, right? Friendships even, right? It's like, I'm going to build this off of what makes sense, right? That's the overall vibe. At the beginning of the month, it's interesting because we come into the, like, so we have swords and then we move into a lot of grounding. So we're moving into like the very beginning of the month where we are currently, because today it is December 5th, right? Because I was sick. So here we are, December 5th. But we're at the beginning of the month and we have the Six of Swords, right? So when we're looking at the Six of Swords, what do we have in our experience where we are mentally and emotionally involved? Like, look at this warrior here with swords. Look at this warrior of healing, actually, in this space. So I feel like we're moving into the space at the beginning of the month. I feel like, okay, so hold on. I feel like we need to show a traditional version of this card, because I need you guys to get the vibe of this card without me trying to describe it, because I don't feel like my words are going to actually do it for you. Sorry, Virgo. This would be the most annoying thing for any Virgo ever on the face of the planet, what I'm doing right now. It's a very victorious card. It's like a card of coming like through a battle, coming through like an experience of, you know, like you've been on the battlefield, you've gone out there, you've conquered, you've done what needed to be, like you've done the things that needed to be done. And are you serious? Did I miss it? Okay, fine. Seriously? Okay, give me 1 second, you guys. Seriously? I need to find this. I feel like, I don't know, for somebody out there, and I've given up the idea of me needing to be polished or understand or know why I need to do certain things. But there is a reason, for whatever reason that it is, that somebody needs to see this picture of the traditional Rider-Waite Six of Swords with the boat and the girl moving away. I know it's here because I pulled it from this deck earlier. Okay, wait, hold on. Here we go. Jesus Christ. Okay, so the Six of Swords. Okay, so here we go. You know, the Six of Swords. So at the beginning of the month, we have this experience for you that it's like I love this particular kind of version of the Six of Swords because it feels like a warrior, feels like very victorious. And I think that in order to have this experience where you are moving in a direction of what feels right for you, what you think is the next like version of what you're supposed to move into, a lot of people tend to feel like, as I've said earlier today, like with these readings, it's like people tend to feel like I have to leave somebody behind, or I have to leave people I care about behind, and there's this kind of like grief that comes with it. What I love about this particular deck is that it's really about like, it's not about leaving people behind, it's about stepping into your strength. It's about stepping into what really is your next level for you. And this is what actually is the most important part. You're not leaving people behind. They're just not able to keep up with where you're going in the pace that you're going at. That doesn't mean you can't come back and visit them, right? But this is a stronger vantage point. So I wanted to show the different kind of pictures that show up from the traditional to like this particular deck, because I think it's actually really valuable, right? So we come into the middle of the month and we come into the King of Laurels, right? And the King of Laurels is, in this particular deck, is the King of Pentacles or coins, right? So this is where you are like, typically the King of Pentacles is like, I've got my shit together. I've got my, like, my finances are right. I've got my home. I've got my environment. My Maslow's hierarchy of needs are taken care of. Beyond that, I've already built some stuff on top of that. So this is like the kind of energy of coming into the middle of the month. Like either you're feeling hopeful about being in this space, or you're actually moving into the space where you're just like, yeah, no, things are solid. They're okay. I don't actually have to worry about it. And I feel like for some of you, for whatever reason that came through, which is not how I would normally interpret it, but like what came through was, you've got this together. You've got this, like, you have a sense of stability and safety that doesn't necessarily have to make sense. So we move into the end of the month and we move into the Knight of Laurels. Right here, if you can see that. So the Knight of Laurels, and this is really about it's the Knight of Pentacles, right? It's the earth. So the Knight of Pentacles is, again, it's like you are pausing to take note of the landscape, the bigger picture, the perspective. And you're not going to, like, there are other knights, like I would say that the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Air, Swords, that they move forward with, like, they'll act first and think later. They're too quick to move into the space, right? Whereas the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Cups is a little bit more emotional, obviously, but the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Laurels, right, is much more like I'm going to pause and I'm going to look at the bigger picture. I'm going to see what actually makes sense, and I'm going to make my moves in a way that's very strategic. So you come to the end of the month, and I think that when you're planning out this next year, even though it's a Gregorian calendar and whatever, we don't all necessarily celebrate the 1st of January as being like the first of the year. It's really just, it's a marked point in our collective society that we've accepted. And so it has power because of that. It has merit because of that. So this is a point where you are at the end of the month basically considering, hey, I'm going to survey what is happening on the precipice of this coming year, this Gregorian calendar coming year, and I'm going to make strategic moves. I'm going to look at the big picture, and that's like, I'm going to make my moves based on this. And this is really a smart move, and I feel like this is really beautiful. So when we look at what is actually coming up as a challenge for our Virgo sun, rising, or moon signs, we're looking at somebody coming from your past, something or somebody coming to you through your past. Past relationship, past person, past friend, past lover, whoever it is. But it's in the challenge position, so it's somebody who is getting in the fucking way of you moving forward. So they are either a heavy weight, they're not pulling their weight, they are, or this is like an ex trying to come back and testing you, or past friendships that no longer serve, whatever it is. Like there's some kind of draining emotional aspect and energetic and emotional aspect that comes through this, that is actually a part of what slows you down in the month of December if you allow it. So I'm not saying that if somebody comes back into your life that's from your past, that you should just be like, oh my God, this tarot girl, she showed me this and I should just eschew you and away go. No, what I'm saying is evaluate for yourself. Do you feel drained after you communicate with this person? Do you feel filled or drained? Do you feel happy? If you do, fantastic. If you don't, that's a clue to let you know. So let's take a look at your spiritual advice. We've got the 2 of Laurels, the Ace of Laurels, the 3 of Laurels, the 4 of Swords, and the 2 of Wands. Holy shit balls. Sorry. But holy shit balls. Let's start with the fact that we have the Ace, the 2, and the 3 of Laurels happening here. Okay. Your spiritual advice for how to deal with this particular situation that is showing up that we were just talking about, that is somebody who, or a situation that is from your past, that is not necessarily serving. What we have is a progression that's actually happening here. And I love that there's a progression. You are basically getting this. Ace of Laurels is like this, here I'm offering you these opportunities. I'm offering you these not opportunities, what is the word I'm looking for? It's so simple. Anyway, you're being offered these opportunities that are really like at your fingertips, the solutions. Thank you. The solutions that you're looking for. Jesus, fuck. So the solutions that you're looking for are actually being offered to you in the form of omens, in the form of synchronicity, in the form of things that are tangible that are in your world. So if you're like, how do I know? Which ones are the ones that I'm supposed to pay attention to? Here's what you pay attention to. For you, Virgo, rising, sun, or moon sign, when you want to know what actions you are supposed to be paying attention to, what omens you're supposed to be paying attention to, they are earth-based. They are tangible. It's somebody who shakes your hand. It's a fucking, like, you walk into a place, you touch something tangible. You happen to drag your hand across a wall and there's a 4444. Whatever the fuck it is, there's something tangible about this process that you experience that helps you know how to follow the breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel style, except that, you know, you don't get eaten by the witch in the woods. But like you follow these synchronicities, these messages into the next place. All right. So we move from that into the 2 of Laurels here, right? 2 of Laurels, we're moving into a place where it's like, okay, I have a lot of shit going on. I am trying to make all of this work. How in the actual fuck do I make this balance out? How do I make this work? And so part of what you're being told to figure out is to focus on the dance itself. I know that sounds so just so. Like, look, I live on the outskirts of Sedona. I'm from LA, born and raised. And I can tell you guys right now, I vehemently detest Sedona culture because it's full of so much crap like this without any grounding. And what I'm telling you is that the Two of Laurels, which would be the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Coins, is really about you balancing and figuring out, how do I work between my personal world and my external world? How do I figure out what actually works for me being in these liminal spaces in a grounded way? Not in a fucking I am a starseed only and I don't know how to fucking live in this world kind of way. Like, I respect people who are starseeds. Just gonna say that for the internet. Because, like, I do. But a lot of people are full of shit. I'm sorry. 1 million people cannot be Cleopatra reincarnated. So we move into the Three of Laurels. And if you can see that, here, let's see if I can do that. There you go. Okay. So you move from a place of understanding that you are being given some keys to understand and have clarity about your path. And then you are being asked to find a way in the space of your liminal relationship to the world, the things that are tangible and not tangible, and having to find your balance and your way through that. And then at the same time, you need to find a way to, what is your community? Who is your community? Are they online? Are they in another state? In another country? It doesn't matter. This is about finding your community. Oh, thank you. Joe Rod, thank you. So this is what it's about, right? This is like, we need to stay in a space that is actually communicative, grounded, and able to hold these liminal spaces where we can be between worlds. Now, Virgo, I know that's not necessarily the easiest fucking thing, depending on what your other placements are. But what else do we have to support you? What else do we have to support you in the month of December? So, what do we have? We have the Four of Swords and we have the Two of Wands. So, what this tells me is that you're going to need to rest. You're going to need to take some time to yourself and rejuvenate before you can take action. You can't know which world you want to create or conquer unless you have taken the time to be silent and be with yourself and know what it is that you actually fucking want. So, Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon. I know it's hard to stop moving. I know it's hard to stop. For those of you who have very strong Virgo mercurial placements, it can be very, 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 very hard to stop and pause. But you have to fucking find the time. You have to carve it out, and you have to find the time to allow yourself to be silent, to be still. Because through that stillness, that's where the inspiration comes through for what you're going to create next, where you're going to move, what world, what path you're going to pursue. Okay? So that's what I have for you. And I think that's all of our signs. So I just want to say thank you guys. Like, I know I'm not the most consistent, and I've decided I'm going to change some shit. So for anybody who's actually watching, I just want you guys to know, like, I'm going to be on here for the full moon because this full moon is right on top of Mars. That is some serious, emotional, erratic shit that is possible for some signs. And depending on how it's aspecting your chart, it's like there's a lot of stuff that can feel very important to like just push out of your mouth and push forward. So I'm going to be here for live free readings on Wednesday afternoon Pacific. I don't know what time exactly, probably around 3 Pacific, to just do free readings because I want to. So if you want to join me then, you're welcome to. Also, I'm changing my entire setup. So probably for January, I'll be doing this one more time like this, but I'm finishing up fixing my filming room. It's going to be really basic. Like there's no green screen or anything. It's just going to be me, doing readings again individually instead of this long form shit. So anyway, let me know. I'm really curious about what you guys are interested in. So if you guys, I'm thinking about doing full moon readings to see like, hey, here's what your guides are saying you need to let go of and how you can do it. And then for new moon readings, I'm thinking like doing new moon readings where it's like, here's what to pay attention to, like planting and putting your attention into, and like what your guides have to say about it. Like really basic for all the signs. And then cards and cocktails, probably in about 3 months, I'll be doing like daily or weekly astrology readings. So that's what I got for you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry it's so dark. I started kind of late in the day, but honestly, I was sick for an entire week. So I'm just happy to be here. Have an amazing night. Please leave me messages or comments or DM me so that I know what feels good for you, like what works for you, because I'm really kind of looking forward. I'm like, well, I'll do monthlies and new moons and full moons. If there's a special event like an eclipse, yeah. But I'm also thinking about doing weeklies, but maybe I'll save those for astrology. So I don't know. You guys let me know if you have any thoughts. I'm open to them. So have a good night. Thank you for being here. Yeah, did you guys hear her snoring? Now she's chilling out snoring. My cat. Okay. All right, bye guys. Have a good night.